Oh, oh, oh.
I heard a trap beat the other day that sounded like this. We got sick of sampling stuff, so we're gonna sample Ice Cream Machine.
I'm by winning.
Look, have you ever been ripped off before, Thompson? You ever felt scammed, bamboozled?
Ripped off. I think when you get, I buy something and it isn't what I think it is necessarily, not as awesome as I think it is.
What about like credit card identity theft? Anybody they stole your shit?
Yeah, not crazy though. I didn't like lose a whole bunch of stuff, basically because my bank, while being a terrible bank, ideologically
You
and
want to shout them
ethically,
out real quick?
Bank of America,
Okay.
Supporting things I don't agree with, is one of the best customer service, secure. The app's awesome, so I'm definitely part of the problem with the apathy and keep doing business with them strictly because of how convenient they are. But they got to it quick, and I don't, $20, $40 somewhere.
So somebody stole your card or the number?
Not actually stole physically the card, but the able to use it in different places. I was like in St. Pete.
Yeah.
And then I was getting charges from St. Pete, but of places I wasn't going. So they picked me up somewhere. They probably scammed me. Now I have this the wallet with the little protection, the little RFI.
Oh shit.
So like
nobody can just scan your shit.
Yeah, because it's like blocked or something.
It's a crazy world we're living, especially being a Floridian. You're either like more likely to get shot or your identity stolen.
Really?
Before you win the lottery or any more positive things will happen to your life.
Wow.
Because
shot in the face.
Well, we're the
side.
gun capital, one of the gun capitals, and we're definitely the fraud capital.
Fraud capital of the United States?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've never been per se, like I don't think I've ever had my credit cards stolen.
Somebody's spending.
But my little brother's happened to him. My dad, it's happened to him. So you at least know somebody.
Yeah, my
like
girl.
It's prevalent. It's super prevalent that it just
I
happens.
feel like it happens to a lot of people.
Billions on billions on billions.
I feel like at least 70% of my office it happened to.
Wow.
I would think, just because of thinking back in the last few, 10 years or whatever, that somebody's always like, dang, man, somebody got my shit. But if you got a good bank, they'll get on it pretty quick, which is kind of scary because they're aware of your patterns.
Right.
Which is a whole different conversation, but they know kind of what you're spending money on and when you're spending money on stuff. And when anything goes irregular or outside of that, then they'll contact you, which means
The
they're
gas
doing their
station in
job, but
Ohio.
then it's also kind of weird because...
Well, they take a whole bunch of preventive measures now. Like they have like those little chips on the card. Supposedly that's supposed to help. Like that's a whole other level. You can like literally have on your app freeze your card if you need to.
I got that. But again, Bank of America does it. But I also have a it changed. It's Addition now. It's Addition.
Oh,
Credit
yeah,
Union.
CFE.
Yeah.
I got a card with them too.
And their app sucks. Their
whole
the worst. Their customer
system
service sucks.
But their interest rates are great.
Very good.
Yeah.
And when you go to the place, it's good. Like everybody at the bank I go to is awesome. But like when I pick up the phone, it's like, fuck me, right? Or I guess whatever. I guess fuck you. So and the app is the worst. It only works half the time. I don't know who they got that made that app, but they did not do a good job.
They're a smaller chain,
They
so
are
I'm
a
sure
smaller
the,
chain,
the budget. But I have that.
It's the
same,
truth, though.
Yeah, I have that same kind of go back and forth with them because, like I said, the interest rates are great. I was fixing my credit again, and I went to them to get a secured credit card, and they gave me the cheapest rate. Like everybody else was charging me like 24% interest rate. I think I got like 13%. But it's a crazy situation with everybody. Like I said, if it didn't directly affect you, it affected somebody you know. And what we're talking about is Florida Fraud. This is the Florida Fraud Podcast.
Scammers.
Okay?
Scammers.
We're going to be talking about a lot of scams.
A lot?
A lot.
What is the you through your research, what is the number, money-wise, of how...
Billions on billions. I can't
a
even
year?
give you... well, it varies year to year because a lot of these things don't even get caught for like some of the guys we're going to research here have been doing it for like 7-10 years, and the IRS only found out, or the FBI only found out because somebody broke into something or there was a 911 call. But if there wasn't some circumstance outside of the actual fraud that got them caught, they would have never got caught, because they're not getting caught for doing the fraud. And like I said, statistically, did I say that right this time? No.
You keep
statistically.
Statistically,
it's the stuff.
You missed that first T.
I add that. It's like it's probably because I'm like Hispanic.
You got the second T, but that first T is just it eludes you.
Yeah,
it evades you. But I understand what you're saying.
Mathematical numbers put together for factual evidence.
That sounds better than what I could say. You know.
I'm hit or miss with this
mathematical numbers
vocabulary.
What kind of other numbers are there besides mathematical?
Well, I don't know, but the fraud...
Currency, maybe? All right, sorry, go.
The fraud is just 1 year at 100 million, the next year it'll be like 20 million, but it's billions of dollars. And they're saying that Florida is the capital for this shit. Like, everybody comes down here. You know...
is it the old people?
Some people say because it's like a second chance state. So you leave wherever you're from and you come down here and start new.
Right. But I'm saying, are the victims that gullible? Is it because of the elderly?
The elderly are, when it comes to
identity. Are we an easier target because we're dumber down here altogether?
I don't know exactly what it is. There's a lot of variables depending on the fraud. Like for identity theft, it's definitely a lot of older people. IRS calls, like if you get those IRS calls.
Yeah, those are crazy.
Well, you're not supposed. The IRS is not supposed to call you.
Of course not, yeah.
But a lot of old people don't know that.
I enjoy talking to those people. I have a great time with people that call with that bullshit. The people who say, hey, you got a virus on your computer. I need to log in and fix it. I'm like, word, thank you for calling me. Tell me what I need to do. And he's like, oh, you got to log in. I'm like, okay. And he's like, okay, do you see the screen? I do. Click this. Okay, how do I? And I just ask the like craziest and drag it on and on, especially if I have time.
Right.
Oh man, it's generally fun for me. Like if I could figure out a way to monetize that, of me just like accepting and dragging on, because they have apps now that'll on your for your cell phone that stop those calls. Those they call them something robocalls. They stop the robocalls. And not only do they stop the robocalls, but they lead the cops calls on. They're like, so while that computer's saying something, this computer's saying something back, and it'll just like drag out and send them into like wild goose chases and shit like that. But I'd like to do that as like, not a job, but like as a service, because I have fun doing that.
But the calls you guys are from real people.
Yes, the ones from real people I like. Obviously the ones where I'm not talking to whatever. But when the guy, like I said, with like the accent,
how long do they usually go on before they realize that you're being sarcastic?
It depends on how heavy because I can do it to where eventually I'm making fun of you. You know what I mean?
Throw in a weird password.
Just weird where I kind of like I might say stuff like I'll go. A lot of times I'll get weird sexual stuff and I'll say it. You know what I mean? Like I remember one time, this kind of the website thing happened, right? And I was like, all right, so I got a tab up I was using earlier. Should I stop masturbating or can I continue to masturbate while I fix this? Because I don't want to stop. I'm in the middle. You know how that goes, right? You don't want to stop in the middle. And I'm like trying to talk to the guy, and the guy's like, well, I don't know if, because again, I'm obviously not doing anything other than answering the phone and trying to lead the dude on. But I feel joy in wasting that time because in some weird way, I'm helping the consumer because this person is not like wasting anybody else's time. I'm sort of making that sacrifice, but it's not for me.
And you're shining a mirror on them. You're like,
yes.
Oh, this is what you're doing?
Right.
Here you go.
Exactly.
Let's ride it. No, I agree. If I had the time too, I definitely do that across the board, even with like telemarketers that are calling me on some BS.
Yeah.
And they're like being super aggressive and stuff. But nowadays you just can't. You shouldn't answer your phone anyway because like look at that RF repellent that you have. Like all these things, we have to take these preventive measures because there are literally people preying on this. My thing is like, I'm a strong believer in karma.
Yeah.
I wonder how. Well, actually, I do know. I'm gonna. So I grew up around certain cast of characters. My mom was like a street paralegal, back in the day before she got into vacation services. So she used to help a lot of the underworld cast of characters that were stealing, robbing, doing not really murder, but just whether in the 80s in Miami, if you weren't dealing drugs and you weren't laundering money or you weren't trying to develop a scam, you could make money off supporting these people when they get arrested, when they need to get bailed out, legal. And a lot of the attorneys, there was like a wall built up because, you know, a lot of these attorneys are not connected to these underworld characters or whatever because they're clean people. Not all attorneys, but. So my mom was like the middle woman to a lot of these things. Oh, you just got arrested? Call me. I'll help bond you out. A lot of these people were immigrants. They didn't even have papers or nothing, so they didn't even know how to speak English. So she would be the interpreter, and she made a good living. You know, she was kind of supporting some fucked up shit, but at the same time, you know, she wasn't doing really any of those things. You know what I mean? So a lot of them at the time were doing like credit card fraud and stuff like that. So they would, same thing, take the identity, go rack up, go to Walmart, slice that card, get a whole bunch of money for reselling the products on the street. And this happened over and over and over. And what I noticed about these people's lifestyles is that you would, and anything that's like quick money that you don't work for, 9 times out of 10, you end up losing. So you might have like a house full of electronics or whatever, but then you get raided and you lose all that stuff. So it's just a temporary fix. You know, it's nothing like really working for your money. And when you go buy that thing, you care about it because you worked your fucking ass off for it.
It's definitely a message I try to drive home with my son because he definitely is loose with stuff that is given to him and then makes a big deal out of stuff that he spent his money on. So it's, you know, it's important to kind of treat that shit the same. To me, that's the lesson I'm trying to drive home, not necessarily for what we're talking about here, but the next step to that as far as being a decent human being is treating something somebody else spent their money on as important as the stuff you spend your own money on.
It's crazy to do that, though. I think that's what when you're older and you've worked your whole life to do that, then you get it because this is the ritual that you do. But with these people making this fast money, they're kind of they are acting like entitled people, right? Because it's like, oh, this is someone else's money. And it takes me all of 10 minutes to walk into the store and get all this shit. And you still got to sell this shit later, but who doesn't want a TV for $500 when it's worth $1,000? You know what I mean? So everything in your life becomes easy. And when everything is easy in life, guess what? All the stuff disintegrates. There's nothing there. And a lot of these people, I'm sure, you know, my mom left the paralegal job and started doing vacation services. And everything in her life changed also. You know what I mean? Like, all the money I think that she made off those people was just surviving. And when she came up here and really started a business and we built, she became wealthy. You know, she invested in a lot of things. So there has to be some karma. You know what I mean? But then again, you know, you hear things like Rick Scott. Rick Scott was our attorney, our governor. And he did a whole lot of things, allegedly, in Texas before he came to Florida that had to do with Medicare fraud and a whole bunch of other fraud. And this guy's successful. This guy, I don't know how his life is personally, but...
Well, there is a theory that he's an alien, that he's not even of this earth.
What about all the banks that we bailed out in 2008?
What about that?
They, like, basically...
Turn around and do the same shit? In a smaller, different way.
It's like,
remember when Bank of America, the bank I use, tried to hit us with the $35 overdraft fees after the bailout? What kind of shit is that, man?
And a lot of their CEOs got bailed out, got bonuses.
Yeah, the bonuses. How you still get a bonus if you don't do the job right? I don't understand that.
So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes I believe in karma, sometimes I don't. I don't know what's the right. It keeps me from ripping people off because, again, I was raised on treat people the way you want to be treated. So I'm not going to go scam somebody. Maybe it's, you know, I don't feel so bad when big fucked up corporations that fuck people over get scammed versus like that one-on-one, like human to human, like, hey, I'm just like you. I got my own Social Security. I got my own credit report. I'm trying to keep my shit together. And you want to tap into my shit?
Yeah.
And even when you get caught, you don't really with these white collar crimes, you don't get a lot of time.
And you get to dictate your surrender, or you get to say no and yes and whatnot. You get to how do you get to dictate your arrest? I don't understand. I never understood that either. It's like this guy scam people out of hundreds of millions or whatever, and he's like, "Well, Thursday's not good for me. Can we do Friday?" And the next motherfucker, like that Dave Chappelle skit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the dude who's a crack dealer gets
Yeah,
to
let you get caught with some crack in your
Right.
ass, and you're going to jail for life.
and they'll fuck you up too in there. They'll treat you like garbage. They'll treat you like you don't even exist. But if you're a person of stature and you have a bunch of money, you're afforded the luxury of politeness.
Well, even amongst criminals, in life you have like white collar people, blue collar people, right? Blue collar people,
The worker bees.
what they say, and I don't want to throw everybody into this mix, but they say like mechanics and plumbers, labor people, which is a great trade. You can make a lot of money, but they call these people blue collar people. And then doctors, lawyers, etc. They call white collar. You see that in the criminals too, right? People that sell crack and extort people and beat people up. Those are blue collar. They're working at that crime, and the people that are stealing from the banks and credit cards are white collar people. And in jail, you have that hierarchy too, where you'll probably get sent to a camp if you're Bernie Madoff, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know where he's at. I don't know how hard his life is, but he definitely got more opportunities to like not get his ass whooped when he was getting brought in. He walked in. He didn't get fucked up because they kicked down his door and surprised the shit out of him without identifying himself. So he pulled a gun and then they shot him a bunch of times. That didn't happen to him.
That did not happen.
It doesn't how
No gun. He robbed that bank with no gun.
and he robbed so many people with so much different lies, so many different lies for so much more money than whatever, whoever there you could insert name here that got killed or, took their eye when they kicked them in the face when they're laying on the ground, like all that stuff.
I think a lot of people were also like, "Oh, fuck it," it was a whole bunch of rich people that lost money.
And that's part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just as bad. It's just as bad, even if they are themselves committing some sort of crimes. Well, that should be addressed.
Yeah.
Get them their money back because they're innocent until proven guilty. At least that's what we're told. Not necessarily true, though, right?
Not in Florida, bro.
No, man. Like I was thinking about this the other day. This is not fraud necessarily, but actually, I think we were talking. That might have been you and me talking about it yesterday. When somebody calls the cops because of something, and they tell, no, it was me and Shauna, and they tell you they can't do anything. Like she was getting chased by somebody. She pulled up to a cop, told her she was getting chased by somebody. The cop said they couldn't do anything because of proof of like anything being done, even though she had like the person's information and blah blah blah.
Like
I got
chased on the road.
I think so. I don't remember. I don't know the whole story because she told a story before, but she didn't retell it recently. But basically, the cop said they couldn't do anything about it, right? Or I get robbed, right? And I'm standing outside with the cop, and I know it's this behind this door over here because they've done it to everybody else. They're this group of people that are just stealing from the neighborhood. He says, I can't do anything about that. And what's more, right? He says it's probably somebody I know, right? But when somebody else gets robbed, then it's somebody who was watching you or they've been casing you. You don't know them. You're not associated with criminals. But this guy, these people over here, you're obviously associated with people that would rob you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I am who I am, then obviously I know people that are going to rob me. But these people over here, they're getting like watched necessarily. You know what I mean? Either way, I can't help you because you associate with these people. That's the thinking I'm having. That's why you can't help me because fuck you anyway. And then same thing with her. She comes up and whatever. They're like, well, we can't really do anything. But if it was Gwyneth Paltrow rolling up saying somebody's chasing me. Oh, we're calling all cars, bro. We're getting everybody and the SWAT teams out, and you know what I mean. It's a really
based on perception.
It's that's the way kind of the world works, man. And it's I don't know how much of that necessarily has to do with fraud, but white collar crimes and blue collar crimes are definitely treated differently in the country. Should they be?
I don't know. I mean, it at some level, it's like, wow, these people are intellectual and they're coming across, a little more like in the eyes more sophisticated, right? So they should be treated different. I think that's maybe what the law looks at it
Not
like.
a violent crime,
right? And it's
but it's arguably worse. Like if
Yeah.
I get punched in the face, I feel better than if somebody takes $1 million from me. I'm gonna be all right, and probably, I don't know, depending on how big the person is that punched me, I'll be all right in a day or two.
not just your money, like your whole identity,
Yeah, that
your
too.
whole identity.
Could be that too. Could be just the cash, or it could be identity.
But
whatever.
What I'm saying is, when you get your identity stolen, since
Yeah.
it's happened so much, why isn't the government and these credit bureaus more helpful with like, oh, my bad, let's fix all this? No, I gotta go for a year, contact this bank and prove to them that it wasn't me, and prove and get
And
the
then
cops
years
are
later,
be
it's gonna keep happening.
Yeah.
over and over again, the same mistake because of this. I think Sean is dealing with it right. Well, at least she was with her student loans that she paid, but then something else happened, and they keep telling her that she hasn't paid. It's like it's over, it's done. Like what kind of messed up system are we dealing with where you can't get that squared away? And I'm fine. I keep getting harassed about this same issue, and it's
Yeah.
not even me. Somebody took Kai's information and was doing getting like a bunch of medical shit done up in Maryland or up in like
holy shit, he's not
Pennsylvania.
even 18 or nothing.
It was like, oh, are you sure this isn't him? I was like, no, he hasn't gotten lung treatment.
He's
No,
never
he-
been there. He lives
Well,
in
that's the thing.
Florida.
He was born in Maryland, so maybe that's where the information got taken. But he's been down here since he's been like 3 months old, 2 months old. He's never lived up there, so he's never went to the hospital up there. You know what I mean? But like somebody named Kai is up there
using his shit.
either going and getting these treatments, and in which case they're the sickest person on the planet, or there's some sort of like medical fraud going on where like maybe a doctor is getting money from like
That's probably what's happening.
whatever,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I've reported it, and it keeps coming up.
He hasn't even established any credit, so when he turns 18, he's probably going to have a little bit of an issue.
On credit though, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not like borrowing anything
But it shows up on the credit report.
as like, I don't know.
You might want to pull his credit now.
How do
see
you
if it
how do you pull
shows
a
up.
kid's credit? Doesn't have.
I wonder if you could do it on Credit Karma. I don't know. I have to ask around for that. But you want to
Maybe I just put his social in and his name in and see
with
what
the
happens.
email, and it'll give you a credit report.
See what happens. Yeah, I might give that a shot.
And then dispute.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good idea. I probably should do that because
when he
even
turns
my
18.
on my taxes, the insurance, that little number's different because of somebody up there spending a bunch. So like the government thinks I'm spending it too, because he's on my insurance.
Oh.
So like when you do your taxes, there's a little spot there that like has like a medical something. I don't. I brought it up though, so I feel covered enough to at least have brought it up.
Right.
So like if years down the road I get audited or something like that, I'm like, bro, I've been telling y'all for like years, and I got emails that says something's weird, and would y'all look into it? I've called the insurance company, and I've called the IRS.
Why is it such a headache? Like,
And
that's
why do I gotta
not
do
fair.
it? I'm a fucking graphic designer. I don't know what I'm doing.
And
Like
that's not fair.
I gotta like hunt it down and do everybody else's job.
I think that's the nastiest part of all this situation is that regular kind people that are just minding their own business, doing their thing, get fucked over, and now they got to work to fix this shit.
Yeah.
That's what needs to change.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's like,
Why do I need to stress over that? Because it's mine. I guess it's my responsibility to fix it. No, it's my responsibility to bring it up
Yeah.
and make it known.
and not fuck it up.
And now, whoever the professional is, go hunt down whoever the fuck whatever the fuck is
Yeah,
got
and
me all messed up.
he or she needs to be responsible for all that shit.
For
like,
sure. Why do I gotta? It's not right, like you said. Once I prove that
there's-
it's not me, I think I should be able to go on about my business. But nah, I get drug out for 6 months.
And there's people that have it so much worse. I remember this story in Fort Lauderdale where there was like 4,000 or 5,000 people in a line outside the IRS office because they all got their identity stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And they're responsible. You know what it is, standing in line for hours?
Yeah.
You didn't do nothing wrong.
You didn't do nothing wrong. And you're in Miami. It's
You
hot
do
as fuck.
nothing wrong. Well, we're going to play some statistics from our friendly algorithm. Kimberly.
Oh boy, there's a lot of fuckery in Florida. You better hide your social security, IDs and credit cards like food during the apocalypse. Motherfuckers are out here stealing identities like it's a scammer's Christmas. Fuck a lottery, just steal a rich person's info and you're golden. Fuck it, steal anyone's info, you're good. Welcome to the
costing a
US
lot to me.
capital of fraud, it's Florida boys. From nypost.com.
Pissed off.
Need a phony ID? A fraudulent tax refund? Insurance money from a sham car crash? Florida may have just what you're looking for. Since the first settlers hacked their way into the mangrove tangles and drained much of the swampland, sunny South Florida has been virtually synonymous with shady deals and scams. Over the past decade or so, the three most populous South Florida counties, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, have become less renowned for old-school Miami Vice-style drug shootouts than for scammers stealing hundreds of millions from the government, banks and individuals by using laptops, stolen identities, and fake medical procedures. The endlessly creative crooks come up with fake Jamaican lotteries, false marriages for immigration purposes, mediocre seafood marketed as better seafood, insurance ripoffs from fake accidents and fires, even foreign substandard cheese passed off as domestic top shelf.
They doing everything,
But the big
bro.
money is in a trio of major fraud trends: Medicare, mortgage, and identity theft tax refunds. By almost any measure, South Florida is the nation's organized fraud capital, although authorities say it's not entirely clear why. Is it the weather? Is it because it's beautiful and the fraudsters want to live here? Is it because it's such a melting pot and you have organized crime from all ethnic groups, said Kelly Jackson, top agent in the Internal Revenue Service's Criminal Investigative Division in South Florida. Any fraud, it always seems to start here. Take the most popular current trend, identity theft coupled with income tax fraud. According to the Federal Trade Commission, Florida ranks first in identity theft complaints at about 193 per 100,000 residents in 2013. But that's dwarfed by the greater Miami area, which had 340 complaints per 100,000 residents that year. The number of false federal income tax returns, meanwhile, is 46 times the national average in South Florida, according to a Treasury Department report. George Pirro, special agent in charge of the FBI's South Florida office, said in many cases, criminal organizations are shifting from violent crimes to those involving mostly digital data. Identity theft, the fastest growing crime here, is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Criminals steal someone's name and social security number. 2. They use that identity to file a fraudulent tax return online. And 3. They collect the refund check. Repeat thousands of times, Pirro said. Criminal organizations have used people from all walks of life to steal identities: hospital workers, prison employees, high school cafeteria workers, people at state agencies and assistants in law offices. It's even become dangerous to be a letter carrier, because mail is a great way to steal identities. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in 13 recent robberies of letter carriers in South Florida. One was slain in 2010 for his mailbox key.
Damn.
Nationally, the Treasury Department's Inspector General for Tax Administration estimated in April that in 2012, more than 787,000 potentially undetected fraudulent tax returns were filed, totaling more than $2.1 billion in refunds. The number of stolen identities and the dollar amount of the tax fraud involved in these cases is staggering, said Miami U.S. Attorney Wilfredo Ferrer. The lure of stealing huge amounts of government money also drives fraud in the Medicare program, which provides services to America's elderly. Since 2007, 9 regional strike forces of the Justice, Treasury, and Health and Human Services departments have charged about 2,300 people who had falsely billed Medicare for $7 billion.
Oh my God.
The South Florida unit's share of that?
Wait.
More than 1,500 defendants through last September. Stealing from Medicare can require a large organization, crooked doctors, people to handle the billing, patients willing to accept kickbacks, and so on. Among those recently charged is Dr. Salomon Melgen, a prominent Palm Beach County eye doctor also accused in a corruption indictment with his friend, New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez. Melgen, who has pleaded not guilty in both cases, stands accused of falsely diagnosing patients with eye conditions and performing unnecessary procedures to bilk Medicare out of as much as $105 million. Meanwhile, since at least 2009, Florida has led the nation in mortgage fraud as a percentage of the number of loans originated, according to the LexisNexis research company. The company reports that a financial industry index of mortgage fraud ranks the South Florida metropolitan area number 1 nationally, with 12.3% of all such fraud reports in 2013, the most recent year available. A trio of recent guilty pleas shows how a typical scheme works. Hector Hernandez, 57, admitted in court that his company, Great Country Mortgage Bankers, paid kickbacks to borrowers whose applications for Federal Housing Administration loans were falsified so they would qualify. Great Country would then sell the loans to banks and other institutions for a profit. In all, Great Country stole $64 million. To date, 25 people have pleaded guilty in the scam. Paul George, a Miami-Dade College history professor who specializes in South Florida, noted that the region's reputation as a haven for schemers dates to the land speculation boom of the 1920s, when alligator-infested swampland was marketed to northerners as a slice of tropical paradise. Today, with the area such a melting pot, it's no wonder South Florida is also a cauldron of creative crime, he said. It goes back to the roots of Miami. It's always been a place for starting over again, George said. People move here either from the north or the south. People have some anonymity, maybe they think they can pull off something here.
That's crazy. You buy some land and come down and get bitten by a damn alligator.
Beautiful tropical paradise. It's like, this shit stinks over here.
So, we know that Florida is a haven for these motherfuckers to come down and start their scamming. It's a scam, like a scam hub, and these stories we're about to go through, it goes across the board. Like,
but instead, it seems like it's mostly those 3 counties in the south.
Yeah,
Broward, Dade, and what was it?
Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and
with the counties, Broward, Dade, and what the last one is.
I don't know the other one.
All right,
I'm trying to figure out I think it's Broward and Dade. So this, of course, is in Dade County. This is the Opelika Free Market.
Opelika,
and I definitely believe in, I'm not like a super socialist, but I believe that certain people need assistance. You know what I mean? But it's because of these type of scams that just makes the government like really hemorrhage. Like they're trying to. We are one of the richest countries in the world, but god damn, when people are scamming like this, it's like, do we really need to be giving out food stamps to people? Like,
First at 6, food stamp fraud. Police and the Fed sweep into a South Florida flea market and make dozens of arrests. They say the scheme reached thousands of people and was worth millions of dollars. CBS 4's Peter Dench is live for us in Opelika with more on what the Feds say was happening for years. Peter?
He's pissed off about it.
Elliot, the U.S. attorney here in Miami, says it's believed thousands of people use their food stamp cards to illegally receive cash instead of food. But the focus today was on the vendors who allegedly allowed this to happen during this Operation Stampede, receiving fees of at least 20%.
This is the largest food stamp fraud takedown in U.S. history.
U.S. Attorney Wilfredo Ferrer says 22 vendors were accused of illegally receiving more than $13 million from the U.S. government. They allegedly allowed food stamp recipients to use electronic benefit cards like the one seen here to get cash instead of food.
These cards are to be used solely to purchase food, not to get cash. Now, these retailers are flagrantly abusing the public trust by stealing millions of dollars from the federal food stamp program that is intended to provide low-income households with their needed basic provisions of food and nutrition.
Most of the 15 defendants arrested so far are vendors at the Opelika
Opelika
County, state, and federal operation.
People will come here with a food stamp card and get cash at a reduced amount.
which flea market vendor Felix Lanza says he would never allow.
Thanks to God, we don't do that. We work by the law.
Thank you,
Ferrer
Felix.
says the vendors in
That was a
Opelika orchestrated
important
Felix could have
tidbit.
been down with it. You know, he was
Going on
right
for
there.
at
He's
least
like,
2
nah,
years.
I'm good.
Today's arrest at the Opelika Flea Market should also serve notice to everyone that trafficking
Hickok.
food stamps is a crime.
Authorities say this was
Cowboy
just the
name right
first
there.
phase of curbing fraud in the SNAP, or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. They are trying to identify the people using the cards for cash.
And our message is simple. These fraudulent schemes directed at the food stamp programs are serious federal offenses that qualify for lengthy prison sentences.
Nah, 4 or 5 years. This guy looks like Michael Douglas from Falling Down.
He does. He looks like a little bit of Michael Douglas from Indecent Exposure. No, Disclosure. Demi Moore. He's pissed off the whole time in that movie.
Man, like that's really taking advantage of the system. Like, you know, here is the
I mean-
government trying to help you out. Should we just give people cash?
Should we just give people cash? No, I don't think so. I think maybe we should just give people food.
Ah,
You know,
like go back to that government cheese look.
we'll just come out and we'll give you the food. You know, don't
Yeah.
give them the opportunity to.
Or I mean, is it the people's fault? What if these merchants are like, yeah, we'll do this for you. We'll give you 80 cents on the dollar. I mean, how can you, like, when you're a poor person and you need money and somebody offers you that situation? I mean, yeah, it's wrong, right? But
What do they need the money for?
I mean, hey, they're poor, bro. That's why
I
they're
know.
on food
I'm saying,
stamps.
what do they need the money for?
Just whatever.
Nah, that's not. No.
But there's this is
if you're
$15
being
million, so
if
there's-
you're being provided with whatever, then what do you need the money for?
well, because you're poor, you need
I don't know.
extra stuff.
For what?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. If you're being provided that stuff,
But it's hard to kind of like itemize that down to like a specific person because
It
it's
is.
$15 million
is.
of shit, you
It
know?
is.
Like, what are we doing with $15 million?
So,
Is Opelika better? No, where'd that $15 million go?
So, like when the hurricane happened and people were getting cards, and they kept finding fucking those credit cards were popping up in strip clubs and fucking alcohol and cigarettes and shit. What I'm saying is, if we're giving you what you need, I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying maybe a way to, if this is going to be fixed or whatever, this fixed. For that to stop happening, I don't know if fix is the right word, but like for them to stop using whatever the wrong way. You know, I think one way is just to provide people with the food that they need. If you need money for health services, then provide them those health services. Just what do you need? You got your dentist, you give you a dentist. What do you need the money for? Why? What's the motivation for getting? Is it for to go to the movies? Is it for to eat out? Is it for your power bill? In which case, maybe we should just provide these people power too that can't afford it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, so if these you know, less fortunate people, if they just had everything given to them instead of money they didn't need for money.
If they didn't have like a little, and I don't know if part of it is like building responsibility. Like, here, this is your money. You need to budget it and whatever. And this is for food. And I wonder what the percentage is of people that don't do it correctly too. You know what I mean? I wonder if it's high that people do for, you know, fraudulent things with their, or if it's low because people actually use it for
Just
food
to survive.
I assume it's not enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? I assume what's given is not enough.
Yeah.
You know, just because there's probably not enough to go around for free or whatever.
Right.
So I recognize there's a big problem. You should use it for what it's supposed to be used for.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have took that $15 million and basically made like a free food gathering place.
Yeah, food bank.
Yeah.
Which they probably have. But, you know, people in this country kind of feel entitled to stuff. I was at a place one time volunteering my time, and I got attitude because they didn't have Cocoa Puffs. It's like, here's some free food that you need. Sorry, it's not the sweetest, awesome sugary
So
snack.
we're turning these people into spoiled children by giving them a whole bunch of things, maybe.
I don't want to say it like that because they're in a bad situation, but I know if I'm in a bad situation and somebody hands me a ham sandwich, like if I'm crawling through the desert, I come out. I know this is a fucking like extreme example, but I come out the desert and I'm walking up and there's a guy and he's like, here's some milk. I'm like, I'm vegan. Well, I also got this ham sandwich. Oh God, I can't say ham. You got any hummus? Hummus and water? And what's more, I'm not gonna be like, man, I'm vegan, all right? I'm not. There's no way, so we get like indignant about it,
Right.
Why are you mad at me because we don't have Cocoa Puffs? Here's some Cheerios. Your little son's gonna have some Cheerios, and that's what it is. So when I hear they need the money, I'm curious to what the money's going to be spent on. And it's none of my business.
Right.
You don't have to tell me. I'm just saying I feel like if we provide stuff, the necessities, which we probably don't do, but if we provide the necessities, then because money's evil. Money's, like they say, money's the root of all evil. It's a big, giant fuck you joke to all of us because we're all like focusing on this paper that one group of people have monopolized the ability to to like make, give out, make money off of. One group of people decided, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to take care of all of this and we're going to have all this power because we made this stuff powerful. It's just a piece of paper. Yeah. But I guess our whole, I heard something the other day, which was like, well, so what are we doing? There's some moon or planet or something out there made entirely of gold, or there's like a ton of gold in like this maybe it's the asteroid that's flying over. There's like an asteroid flying over. I can't remember exactly what it was.
They found gold on it? How did they do that?
Like,
they just know?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing, right? But point is, I read, if it's true or not, I don't know, but it's made of gold. And if we brought it down here, it'd be enough to make everyone on Earth a billionaire, right? But they wouldn't do that because it would destroy the economy. I'm like, what the fuck? So it's not about everybody being fine.
It's about us.
It's about
doing.
They're being rich and they're being poor, and that's it. They're being supply and demand and
keeps
want,
us busy.
and that's why there's wars, so that people who make guns and blow up shit make money. That's
They
why
need to keep us
people
busy.
sick, so they continue to fucking. It's so crazy.
Well, a lot of I forgot what documentary I've seen, but they speak about it's a documentary full of economists, right? And a lot of them agree that there's plenty of money on Earth for everybody to at least have a few $1 million. That doesn't mean you're going to be rich, but you're going to be comfortable.
Yeah,
you're not going to need for anything. You won't be
get all the fucking
poverty, but it's just it's like the hen or the egg type of scenario, or hindsight. Like there's this Andrew Yang, this Asian man running for president, and the only reason I say Asian man is just to stand him out because it's an anomaly, right? It doesn't happen a lot for an Asian.
It just hasn't happened a lot,
right? So, but he's running on
generally
this,
white people,
yeah. And he's running on universal basic income, which basically says he doesn't want to give you welfare. He wants to give you a dividend of $1,000 because you're American and you've helped make this country a great place. And this country is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We want to give you like a stock dividend.
Everybody gets $1,000.
Everybody, if you're over 18,
like
you get
every year,
$1,000 every month.
Okay.
So you get $12,000 a year if you're over 18. And he says that this is going to help everybody because you're going to have an extra $1,000 and, it could go towards food, rent, whatever, but it's going to make your life more comfortable.
Yeah, you're not rich.
That's going to reciprocate where we're going to get rid of a lot of, mental issues and certain, he's like, if you have $1,000 extra, you might think about not doing a crime to make money because you had that extra $1,000.
But then we're also going to have to deal with dividend fund scams.
Yeah.
Or whatever we're calling it. Because there's going to be the guy who wants $4,000 a month.
But that's my argument. If we do give everybody enough money to survive, will we eliminate?
No. There's always going to be scammers. There's always going to be greedy motherfuckers. Always. There's always. Even when we get to the perfect utopia.
How do we know that?
How do
We've never been there.
Because we're at this point in history, and that's the way it's been since history started.
But the history has always been based on that, like survival of the fittest, right?
Yeah.
If you're smarter, you're going to be richer. Or if you're just born into a richer family, you're going to get taken care of. But what if it was reversed? Like, what I'm saying is,
Right.
because of that mentality, does that condition, and we're probably never going to know this because it is what it is. The world is what it is. But what I'm asking is, because of that mentality, does that produce fraud? Because of that.
That there's always going to be fraud, so we might as well be frauding.
Everybody is trying to make it to the top, and some people take shortcuts. But just that mentality of making it to the top.
Well, putting the importance on money is what.
Just success. Money's part of that. People are scamming to get money because they think that having more money will make their life comfortable. That's the innate foundation of why people scam.
Yeah.
To get ahead.
Well, to make
faster.
money. To make money. It's not necessarily to get ahead. It's just to make more money. It's the putting, like I said, it's the putting the importance on the money. It's not success.
I think it's about,
because if it was about success, then it'd be hard work.
No, because
successful people work hard.
My opinion, true, because we know that because we work hard to be successful. But
because P. Diddy.
But a lot of people just think that if I could take the shortcut to money, I'm gonna be successful. They don't understand those principles of hard work. That's why they're frauding.
Well, because they equate success to money, not actually doing anything, in which case they're wrong.
Right. But it's also, they think that the money makes them successful.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing.
We are. But what I mean is that if that mentality didn't exist, would you think so? It would still create people like that.
If the mentality didn't exist that money was the most important thing or money equaled success, then would people not scam as much? Yes, they would not scam as much if that mentality didn't exist. But again, we've made money the most important thing in this world.
So it's the system's fault that people fraud.
It's our fault. I mean, the system, sure, but we are the system. We've decided to participate in said system, so we're making it important. We invest in things like real estate and stocks. We put 401ks. We save money. We charge for we're not bartering for our services. We're participating in the system, so it's us for sure.
And I think that's why having food and your electric paid and whatever is not enough. So that's why we're going to go down to Opalaka Flea Market and get that money, because I don't really need that money.
I think it is enough. I just think that because of this, like you're saying, because of this system that we're kind of like in, then people feel like they need to have money, and we kind of do right now, And it's always going to be people fraud. It's always going to be people trying to like steal from people. It's just, I don't know why. I know why, because the world's a terrible fucking place most of the time. It's got pockets of beautifulness that you kind of try to hold on to and recreate.
I think that's why these criminal syndicates, like the mafia or whatever, every generation of immigrants is going to have their criminal element, because they need to figure out to bypass the system, because they know the system's fucked up, And a lot of us
some of that's true. Some of it's just terrible people being terrible, though. Some people are like the Robin Hood-ish types, where they're kind of like gaming the system to get ahead, and then maybe they'll help their boy out and stuff like that. Some people are stealing from their boy and the guy across the street and shit like that.
But if you grow up in a family where your mom was working hard, she was trying to get out of it, but she couldn't, and you seen that, damn, my mom worked her ass off, but she's still not happy. Let me go sell crack. Let me go fraud somebody. Let me go scam, because I don't have the example of a successful daddy or a successful mommy or. So it gets
you're giving a reason. You're not. It's not right. You're just saying why he's decided to rat, or she's decided to do it.
It's not right, but it's an epidemic. People are scamming.
Epidemic. Yeah, man, it is an epidemic for sure.
And so at that point, I hate to. It's hard to put blame on anybody, because there are plenty of people that make it out of the hood or a rough environment and do it the right way. Is that the common? No, it's not. Or at least we don't talk about it enough to make it. You know what I mean? So not to give any of these fraudsters any like leeway, because yes, you're doing something wrong, but I think it's also systematic that these people are being
it's a result
shot out of that lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a result. because like you said, they don't have any other choice a lot of the time.
They don't.
I
see
think
it.
I think if you did something like gave everybody $1,000 or whatever, it would lessen the
That's
amount
what Andrew Yang seems to think.
But would it be how much? Like, what's
I
the
don't know.
Is it 50%? Is
Yeah.
it 10%?
Yeah.
Is it worth it in that way? I'd love $1,000 a month. Some people wouldn't even notice it. Because you're giving it to those people too, the people who wouldn't notice it, right?
Everybody's getting it.
So
Everybody's getting it. Rich, poor, whatever.
I don't know, man. I don't have the answers, Sway. I don't got the answers. But
Sway.
you know what I mean?
Few steps back.
All right, so
Got the answers, man.
on to more fuckery. This is $100 million Medicare fraud. So the first fraud, we're dealing with poor people that are trying to survive, and that's the circumstances. And I guess there's a little more leeway there. At least I can be more compassionate with those type of people. But when you're dealing with white collar motherfuckers that have a lot of money and it just becomes greedy, it's like, come on, bro. Like, you really the asshole of assholes here.
American Therapeutic Corporation.
Meet Larry Duran. In this YouTube video, he claims to be seeking help from a Miami congresswoman to increase Medicare benefits for mental health patients.
The fact of the matter is that their voice, those patients, sometimes they're muffled. So we're here to help, see if you can help us out.
A noble cause, right? Not according to federal investigators. Thursday morning, they swept down on Duran's company, American Therapeutic Corporation, and its 7 offices, making arrests, seizing boxes of evidence, hauling out computers. Duran has been charged with a dozen counts of healthcare fraud.
The alleged illegal conduct here charged in this indictment is in many respects unlike anything we've seen before in terms of the nature and the size of the scheme.
Prosecutors allege ATC altered patient files, medications, and therapists' notes and paid halfway houses and assisted living facilities to provide patients, even paid kickbacks to some patients.
They prey on the most vulnerable citizens, and those patients, as it relates to community mental health centers, are demented patients, not able to care for themselves.
Oh, damn, son.
Duran's attorney said he would not comment on his client's case.
Out there like,
Prosecutors say the Miami case is the latest in a litany of schemes run nationwide to defraud Medicare and, in essence, you. Legitimate taxpayers are really paying for these frauds.
Hell yeah.
Indeed, this is
No,
money
but
that you
damn.
and I work for. It's coming out of our paychecks every 2 weeks, bi-weekly.
It's estimated Medicare fraud amounts to $60 billion. That's right, $1 billion a year.
Oh, that's more
But the
money than
feds are
some
fighting
billionaires.
back. This team that took down American Therapeutic Corporation is part of a multi-agency Medicare fraud strike force operating in 7 major U.S. cities. One of their tools, data mining. The strike force looks for spikes, unusually high claims in a region or from an individual provider, and they're able to access that data almost as soon as the claim is filed.
We can see these trends as they happen instead of 6 months, a year down the road after the program.
That's the guy who you fall asleep when he talks
In
about his
recent
job.
months, the strike force broke up
Hey,
major
what do you do?
Medicare fraud
Oh, I work
schemes
for the
in
FBI.
Detroit, Los Angeles,
Word.
and New
Tell me
York.
about what do you do?
The problem, federal
Well,
agents say, is that as
there's
soon
a
as they bust
statistical
one
anomaly
operation,
happening in the course of a
another
month
pops
that
up.
it's like fucking shit, dude. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
to $60 billion, man.
You'd have to be.
That's
a dude
why
that
they do
falls-
it.
But this is a serious scam. Like
$60 billion,
and all these people involved in
Billy.
it.
A Billy. I wonder how much you got to pay out. What's the overhead?
A lot.
But for $60 billion, man, that's so messed up though because cats don't even know they're committing fraud. What happens to them?
Nothing.
The mentally handicapped people.
Nothing. They just continue to. I mean, that's also the argument about why our medical system is so fucked up. A lot of people blame like the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies for making, bringing all these premiums up and everything. But I guess maybe they have to account for a lot of this shit too. The $60 billion is a lot of money, man.
You're talking about the insurance company.
Well,
sending money
the
out?
whole argument on why we can't get, nationwide coverage for Americans. You know, people say that in England you have and Canada you have coverage for everybody, but it's like a pain in the ass. If you break your leg, you're going to be in a line for like 3 hours or whatever. So that's why you have to have your own insurance here in America, and you pay a premium for that because of good service. They say that that's a whole scam from the insurance company and the doctors. Really the insurance company, because they're making the most money. The doctors kind of fall into that. But what I'm saying is maybe they're making up all these crazy premiums and stuff like that because they're losing so much money from things like this, you know, and they don't want to look like they're irresponsible, right? So it's like, oh, we'll just blame the economy for this stuff. But it's really, it's like a pipe full of holes, and they're trying to patch things up. And this is like a serious white collar crime. This isn't
cost
like
of doing business.
This isn't like Tom and whoever.
My thing is why is those things always get pushed onto the person, the consumer? Why are those? Well,
who else is going to pay for it?
The company. They're the company.
That's true.
If I'm in a restaurant and I order a meal and the meal sucks and I send it back, do I pay for that meal?
No, but what happens is too, you're not paying for a membership to that meal every month. So if a lot of these institutions, like AIG was a big insurance provider, and they collapsed because they were so big, the government had to come save them because of so much infrastructure. If that company disappeared, this is an argument too. I don't know this, right? Yeah. That if that company disappears, then they're going to see it trickle down in it's going to affect other industries. So we got to support this industry so that it's the same argument with the mortgage stuff.
Right.
We're going to save the big banks because they're such big structures and they have money in other countries. So if they fall, it's going to affect other economies. So let's take out these small banks because they only affect the American economy. You know what I mean? I think there's bigger implications. So they have to cover up for those things because they think in their mind that it's going to be, if we make the company pay for it, there's going to be more of a drastic repercussion.
Yeah, but the company's getting bonuses of millions of dollars and billions of dollars, and they got mansions and shit like that.
So
I don't got to listen. If I go to so not the restaurant, but if I pay a membership to a gym and I go to the gym and I fuck up the gym equipment, I don't pay for the gym equipment. Like I don't have to. It's because it's so much money, we have to pay it.
Right, but if everybody in America were going to this gym, not everybody goes to the gym.
Right.
Everybody uses insurance.
Not everybody uses insurance.
That's true.
Not everybody uses the it's because it's so much money.
Yeah.
Is why we pay it. It's because it's a little bit of money is why the restaurant eats the charge. Is why the fucking gym eats the charge.
So what's worse then are these white collar motherfuckers that we keep bailing out, or Tom, Dick, and Jerry that are doing little fraud at the bottom? Like, why do we go after them more than we go after the big guys?
I don't know why. I think we should be going after them equally. You know, equally as hard and with just as much disrespect or respect. If white collar guy can pencil his arraignment for 3:00 ish after his golf game, then blue collar guy should be able to do the same thing. If that's not the case, then white collar guy should get his nice ass door kicked in and ripped out of his bed, and his kids should be crying, and his dog should be shot. You know what I mean? Like all the terrible shit that happens.
You're right, because in Iceland, when the economy started falling apart all over the world, Iceland did what everybody should have done. They kicked all their bankers out of the country. And they said, we're taking over this bitch.
They took them out the country. They deported them.
Fuck out of here. We're not dealing with you bankers.
I mean, something drastic like that, some message needs to be sent because they're out there doing whatever the fuck they want, man. However the fuck they want to do it because they got a lot of money.
No repercussions.
And again, it's like, oh, we don't want to do that because then, you know, you're going to have to pay more money. Like, why do I have to pay more money? Why does whatever, every time Disney makes a new ride, why do I have to pay more money to get into Disney? Because they raise the prices like 3-4 times a year, and because I will.
Yeah.
Because that place is full, and they will until they
you need insurance.
Can't. And you know what? Until people stop, you know, and this is what happens, man. You get one person with an idea, and then everybody agrees with that idea, and then that person gets killed. because of something drastic like, well, let's just stop going to Disney altogether. Everybody in America, let's just not go the month of September until they drop their prices.
Yeah.
If everybody in America didn't go and it was empty for all the month of September, they dropped their prices to get people to come back. But that's not the case, because that's an impossibility. It's not an impossibility, but
people are not going to stop going to hospitals. People are not going to stop going for medical care.
Hey, man, if you say you stop paying premiums for a month and only go to the emergency room because that's what you got to go to, or strictly buy generics, or, that's how you...
They got you by the balls, though, because if you don't pay that hospital bill, it's going to fuck your credit up. It's so fucked up. And well, that's another argument. Like, who set this up to be fucked up? Or did they not know that it was going to be fucked up? You know what I mean? Like, which one was it?
I don't know.
Is this intentionally done this way?
I think because if you have enough money, there's nothing wrong with the system. So...
Yeah, everything's becoming privatized. There's some doctors in New York that don't even take insurance no more.
And there's doctors here that don't.
California. Yeah, it's starting to happen.
My chiropractor didn't.
It's starting to happen. They're like, no, we just want your cash. I don't want to deal with the insurance companies.
Yeah, my chiropractor didn't take insurance, and not any type of insurance. It wasn't even just like my insurance. You just pay out of pocket. You pay initially for the membership or whatever. It was bullshit. It wasn't bullshit, but it's like membership, whatever.
Do you think it was cheaper than paying into an insurance plan?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because that's my whole thing, too. Like, what if we do... Let's fuck insurance. I'm just going to build a relationship with my doctor, and I'll pay you monthly. Because I know I'm going to come to you, and you're going to take care of me.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think you should be able to do something like that. But it's illegal for you not to have insurance, which is also a weird thing for me. But I guess that means, so when something happens, you don't go to the emergency room and the taxpayer has to pay your bill.
So that's a new thing now?
What, you have to have insurance? I'm pretty sure that's a thing always, I thought.
No, I don't. I mean, I've had a lot of years without insurance. Again, I don't work for a corporation, though.
Right, but I think you're supposed to have insurance at a certain point, like as a person who lives in this country. But I may be wrong. You want to look that up real quick?
I'm not 100% sure.
Is it illegal to not have insurance, health insurance, in Florida? But no, United States. No, with an I. Illegal. Well, no. There you go.
Is it illegal
to not to have health insurance? There you go. There you go. There you go. What? Oh, go click the first one. The first link. Yeah. Is it illegal not to have health insurance? The Affordable Haircut created a requirement for people to have health insurance to meet the standards called minimum essential cover. This requirement to have health insurance is known as individual mandate. This meant that while not having health insurance wasn't considered a crime, it may have to. You had to pay a tax penalty.
It's a tax.
It's a tax.
I remember that.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So you get taxed on it, but you don't go to jail.
You don't go to jail. So, yeah. So I was saying you're required, but it's going to be a tax. Well, I pay taxes, so it would be a tax burden on me, which I don't know. I wonder how much it is. I wonder if it's more. I wonder if the burden's more than not having health insurance.
Well, you probably get
but
less
then again,
money back.
if I go anywhere without insurance, it's so much money, dude. It's ridiculous. And I go to, I got kids, as I got the doctor and everything, so I use mine every year to the limit that it can be used, mostly, especially the dentist thing. There's every year for the last few years, I've been like, all right, do this one and this one so that in January when I get more money, we'll do this one and this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the point where I literally got into a thing with the receptionist because she kind of had an attitude for me switching which teeth I was going to do because of the pain I was having. And she thought it was because of the amount of money that it was costing because of the weird math that happens. I had like 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2 that I needed, whatever they're called, the caps or roots or whatever, getting done, right? But this one was hurting, not this one. But this one cost less money. So I called him and I was like, oh, let me just get that. And then I asked for the money back. but they were gonna hold the money. And I'm like, no, I'll take the money because I can use that money. It was like $600. Right now, if I'm not gonna let you hold $600 for 2 months until I get, you know what I mean? Like, let me just get that back. And she's not. And that was, I ended up being right, obviously, but she had a little thing, and I had to like write a bad review on Google. The doctor called me, was like begging me to take it off, and I'm like, nah, I'm not at all. To this day, I haven't taken it down because she was being a bitch, man.
That's crazy how much Google reviews are important.
It's important.
Doctor got on
he
the
called
board.
me. He's like, listen, I do it for my business. I'm like, I read all your reviews, and you got mostly good reviews. So the only reason I'm not leaving it down there because I need people to be aware that there is an entitled, fucking big-headed, dumbass woman in there that doesn't like to be spoken to other than said yes, no. Because I noticed that about her initially, but it was fine. Again, you know me. I'm the guy like, all right, she has a personality quirk. Like, since I go in there and I kind of be like, well, could I? And she'd say it in a way that I couldn't. And I'm just like, really? Okay, no problem. And then just was just one of the days when I was like, yo, that's my money. Like, I'm going to do what I want with it, regardless if it's because I don't have money. Now, I don't have a lot of money, but I had enough money that I didn't need to get that $600.
And even if you did, it's your fucking
it's
money.
still my money. So whatever, give me my shit.
Do whatever the fuck I want with my money.
Exactly.
My mom came up with a good idea, and I don't know if this exists now, but this was like a few years back. She says, what if there was an app, right, or like a Google review for people? So you can literally put somebody's name and some type of, I guess, where they're from or whatever, and be like, nah, this person did this, and this person did this. And now you have like a 4 or 5 star rating.
Yeah, as a person.
So what type of person you are.
Hell yeah. I was thinking about the same thing, but for license plates. Because it's bad drivers. So that there's a gray Pontiac Sunbird, whatever, you know what I mean, down 408 in Florida, and he drives like this, and then it'd be like, oh, this motherfucker was in Georgia doing the same thing.
Bro, I can't stand people, like when I'm driving to Daytona for work, and this motherfucker wants to go like 100 miles an hour down I-4, and then we get to the light of fucking of International Speedway, and guess what? I'm right next to you still, bro.
Yeah.
All that speeding
all
for
that speeding,
nothing.
and
at
here we
the
are
stoplight.
once again together. Yeah, same thing. I think with the app of the personal people, I'm not sure, but you might get in trouble for like defamation or something like that.
Yeah, it'd have to be like anonymous.
If there's a way you could do it anonymously, yeah, for sure. But
then people would be on there just
making
if you had a bad
shit.
boyfriend.
There's an idea in there for sure,
Yeah.
but it'd have to get worked out or some sort of like if more than one person did it, or I don't know.
Yeah,
I like that idea though, because I agree, man. People just need to know like who they're dealing with. You know what I mean? Like
especially
a Google
if you're
search,
a habitual asshole.
like that's good for like people dating. You know what I mean? Like not just it doesn't matter if you're just a criminal. You don't have to have committed a crime.
Rapey.
Yeah, you don't have to actually have committed a crime. But like, what if 7 women have had the same experience of having to like get you to stop calling? Once you were a nice guy that gave you the number, you went on the date. Now you won't leave me alone. You're not raping anybody. You're not showing up at anybody's house. You're not violent. You're just some weirdo. Leave me the fuck alone. What if a few women, he's like, oh, okay, so Bernard. You know what I mean? Ralph. Anyway.
You got 2 stars, bro.
Yeah, you ain't worth it. The Uber Eats or the Yelp review. The Yelp review of people.
Yelp review.
Yeah.
Well, this is another story about fraud in Florida. Surprising. More fraud. That's right. I could go on for hours about the fraud, but these are the most interesting topics that I
met a
came
guy
across.
who committed fraud.
I know a few of them.
Florida today in the insurance fraud crisis facing Florida anchor Paula Grown with why thousands of homeowners across the state could soon be forced to pay more.
Florida house, Spanish.
They all look the same.
Spanish roof
and
town.
it has to do with insurance fraud. An Ohio insurance rating company called Demotech says it will downgrade the financial stability of up to 15 Florida insurance companies, which could put thousands of mortgages at risk and force house hunters to suddenly pay more for insurance.
They're qualifying for less money on the home purchase because they have to make that insurance premium.
At issue, the rising
Look at
tide of
supervillain.
claims insurance companies say they're forced to pay because of a practice known as assignment of benefits. That's when contractors convince homeowners who need expensive repairs to give them the insurance benefits.
Oh, right. Sign
and
me
they
over.
use the
Yeah.
attorneys to sue the insurance
That happens
companies
all the
if
time.
the claims are denied. It's a bait and switch game that's running rampant in Florida, and may now cost honest homeowners.
It's going to impact the value of a typical $300,000 home by close to $5,000.
Wow.
This insurance crisis comes at a time when the housing market
It's like
in
he
Florida
smells
is
something
doing
bad.
well. Home prices are up, sales are up, but the
What's that
insurance
smell?
industry claims they're bleeding
It's
millions
windy
of dollars.
out there, bro.
And someone's got to pay.
We have a hurricane
Yeah, I love that
problem
part.
in Florida.
Someone's got to
Everybody
pay.
knows that.
You're the insurance company,
This
bro.
is
You
a
pay.
man-made hurricane.
You pay.
So it's driving up the
Don't
cost
go.
of
Don't
what's
gas up the
nobody
boat.
predicted.
Don't gas up the yacht this year.
Downgrade Florida
You
insurance
pay.
companies potentially affecting
Don't make me
thousands
pay.
of mortgages because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac requires property insurance to be A-rated. Today, realtors sending a strong message to lawmakers in Tallahassee to get over the gridlock and do something about the green.
It's something that should be handled on a legislative level. I think they should be cracking down on the fraud that's taking place, the insurance fraud that's taking place.
Paul Legrone for the Now Tampa Bay.
Can you trust
I don't know
anybody
if
that
I
talks
want
like
to
this?
buy a house from an aggressive guy like he just
Can
looks
you,
like.
Can you trust anyone that speaks like this? I mean, I obviously can't take him seriously, but can I trust him is my question.
Constant fence.
It's very
I'm putting up a fence.
It's very odd. You know what I mean? Coming here and hitting me with this. I wouldn't be able to have a conversation with you. I'd just be like, what's going on with your hands, guy?
I just feel like he's gonna put me into a headlock to
I don't
buy
believe
the house.
Well, he definitely was the supervillain from Superman.
Buy this house now.
Nah, yeah. So I've seen some stories of like, is that a requirement for some of them to do?
As far as what?
Like they take over negotiation rights from you or something like so when there's a
No.
hurricane and then your house gets fucked up and the roofer comes and he needs to talk to the insurance company for you or something like that. Right?
Yeah, that's usually people that don't want to deal with the hassles. It's like kind of like, you know, when you get in a car accident, you should go to the chiropractor. You should go to the hospital and get checked up because that's what the insurance is there for. You should make sure you're good. A lot of people don't want to deal with the hassle. They're just like, Joe, just get my car fixed. I don't care about the other shit. I just want my car to be back to zero. But there are so many things. There's so much. Like a typical car insurance situation is that you have $100,000 policy and you have $10,000 for liability.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just want to get their car fixed, so that might only be like a couple $1,000s. But you can, the attorney, for example, like the contractor, knows that you can get $10,000. So why not take advantage of that? So because these contractors and these attorneys know that, they're going to go, and the insurance company, they don't want to go through litigation. They want to settle and mediate out of court because it costs too much money. So because we know the bureaucracy of everything, right, we're going to take advantage of this. And that's what's going on. So the contractor manipulates the homeowner that's a little like, I don't want to deal with all this. Yeah, you do. It's easier to let someone else deal with it. And that's what's going on.
But then they get screwed over. They get taken advantage of sometimes.
Sometimes the majority of things, what happens is the insurance company ends up paying way more than they should. And like you say, instead of swallowing that mistake or whatever, they're going to pass it on to us as higher premium. So a house, like let's say a 1,500 square foot house, that would probably cost you $800 to $1,000 a year to insure that house fully if it's a primary residence, right? Now it's going to cost like $1,200. Because of all these scams constantly happen. So what we really have to do is educate people and say, look, this is what, you know, this, even though you're going to get a contractor to fix this. And also you have to go, insurance companies can't be afraid of going after contractors outside of that, especially if the contractor has habitually done this.
Man.
And I think that's what they're trying to do at the state is pass some legislation that better helps the insurance company go after the contractor. That's who's really at fault here, is the attorneys and the contractors.
Trying to take advantage.
Attorneys are another people that I was saying, like, we're going to go after all these people doing credit card fraud and Medicaid fraud and insurance fraud, right? Attorneys go out, I don't know if you remember Silicon Valley, right? There's an episode of Silicon Valley where there's this attorney that goes after the new 500 companies that show up on the index, and he goes after them for like a $10,000 lawsuit. And a lot of people settle out of court because you don't want to go to court and pay for an attorney, and then you're like $50,000 or $100,000. And this attorney, it doesn't cost him anything because he'll just go to court. It's just time for him. That's the only thing that's going to cost. So you're better off just cutting that $10,000 check. So a lot of these attorneys take advantage of that. A lot of these attorneys have built, you know, like John Morgan, for example, he built a lot of his money off. Remember the asbestos mesothelioma?
Yeah.
A lot of money was made off of that because there was negligence there, and they knew, hey, I can attack this. So is that wrong, or is that just like an intelligent attorney, right? Because it does end up costing us more money.
That part's the wrong part, not necessarily the part that he's doing.
It sounds wrong, but it's technically not wrong in the law.
Because it's against the law for the company to make money? Is that why it's not wrong?
No, it's because when these insurance mandates were made, right, the policies were set.
The one that I signed or you signed or whatever.
And we all agreed to, and the insurance basically put this in effect, right?
Yeah.
The attorney's smart enough to go through that and break it down, and he knows, well, each one of these policies are worth this amount. And I think the insurance understands that, but they're gambling on statistics, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're only going to get, like, if there's not a hurricane this year, we're only going to get maybe like whatever number it is of insurance claims.
Mm-hmm.
But because the attorneys know that those claims are vulnerable and that each one at least will pay off this amount, they go after them. And that's where, so what the insurance company is really fucking up is that they're going too hard on the statistics and not accounting for, well, let's say every single home in Florida got hit. We should be able to cover this.
Yeah.
So they're overestimating their numbers, and that's why that at the beginning, that insurance bureau that kind of takes care of insurance companies being over leveraged. They're like, nah, we're not gonna give you a AAA rating.
Right.
So it's at the end of the day, it's the insurance companies and the attorneys, because the insurance company needs to fix those things so that the attorneys don't look at you like such a liability.
Right.
That's their whole job, really.
But also, like, again, why are we eating the cost as the consumer, as the person? Why do we have to pay more?
Because we will.
Well, I mean, because we don't have a choice. We need insurance.
Exactly, because we will. They know that.
But like,
that's what I'm saying. What's more fucked up? These people at the ground level.
Definitely the insurance.
You think? Yeah.
Definitely insurance, because they are doing better. They're in a better position to live life and survive. Again, you're getting crazy. You got a bonus of $60 million. That's not even like a made up number. There's been $60 million bonuses. $60 million. Then right after that, someone says, oh yeah, but for someone like him, that's not a lot. That's an entirely different problem. But yes, I agree with you. But if somebody says 60 million, they scoff at it, fuck you, and give it to
anything.
120 million people, give it to 360 million people.
Yeah. How about just dropping our insurance premium? Take that
Or
60
do that.
million and throw it into that
Eat
fund.
it.
Yeah.
Just eat it.
Yeah.
Just fucking eat it and keep it moving. The other thing is like, oh, we didn't make money this year. No, you didn't make more money this year than you made last year. That's what your complaint is. You still made $12 million. You still made $1 billion. You just didn't make, like last year you made $2 billion. And this year you made $1.8 billion. And it's like, we got to fire some people? No. You made $1.8 billion.
Yeah.
But it's not, it doesn't look at it like that. And that's wrong.
That's the real fuckery,
That's why we're
bro.
fucked up.
That's the real fuckery, bro. And I think because people like that exist, you're going to have people like this, right? That I'm about to show. So this is also fucked up what these people are doing. But I feel like these criminals are products of their environment. Poor people trying to hustle to get up. It's an easier way. You should have got a regular job and hustled like every other American. But God damn it, like if you see these huge ass corporations taking money, hey, let me take some money. I
understand the argument, but nah, bro.
So these are the people that are having IRS filing parties. That's what they call them, where everybody gets a laptop together and a whole bunch of Social Security numbers and start racking up them tax returns.
How do they get the money?
It's going to show right.
Investigators say dozens of people in the Bay Area were living the high life by stealing people's identities and scamming the IRS out of at least $100 million. They used the money to buy fancy cars and jewelry.
Dumb
As Carson
shit.
Chambers reports, there's no limit to how low they would go.
They stole millions of dollars, blowing the cash on luxury cars like this $200,000 Bentley coupe seized by federal agents. Detectives say the crooks dubbed their illegal operation rain parties, referring to the money
Making
that
it
flooded
rain?
their mailboxes.
They will steal those social security numbers, dates of birth, names.
The suspects you see in this police raid video stole the identities of grandmothers, babies, the deceased, even a Tampa police lieutenant that filed TurboTax returns online, according to United States Secret Service agent John Joyce. And he says they did it right under Uncle Sam's nose until Tampa police caught on.
They were responding to a warrant for narcotics, and when they entered the hotel room, there were individuals who were sitting around in what's called a filing party, 7, 8 individuals, and to the shock of the detectives, they see they're all on computers.
The fraudulent tax filings reaped huge returns, according to police. Every envelope you see here represents a person, some who never knew their identities
Thousands.
were stolen
Look at
until it
that.
was too late.
Once they go to file their
That's
tax
so much
return
money.
and it's bounced back and it says you already filed.
The envelopes
I'd be
have
so
debit
heated,
cards
dude.
inside worth as
I'd be
much
ready
as
to fucking kill somebody.
$5,000. And police say suspects like 22-year-old Reginald Jennings
Piece of
turned
shit.
them into quick cash at ATMs.
Shit. That's such a bullshit to fucking people that need that shit, dude.
Some of
I
that
need
ill-gotten
that.
money,
I depend on that
$2,200
every
worth,
year.
came from a debit card with Keith Pennypacker's son's name
Guy's a
on it.
goddamn
27-year-old Logan is
wheelchair.
disabled. His father says he's never filed a tax
Doesn't
return.
even know how to file. You don't even probably understand the concept of money.
Logan's identity, his girlfriend is associated with the Easter Seals, and Logan is currently involved in Camp Challenge at the Easter Seals. So
I take that back. He may
feel
understand money.
that's more than a coincidence.
The year-long investigation
You have a
called
girlfriend, you
Operation
gotta understand
Rainmaker
money.
intercepted 100 million tax dollars, recovered $5 million, and netted 49 arrests.
Oh my
Suspects used
God!
quick
So
cash,
$95 million
but
is sort of like
investigators believe Tampa's rain parties
out
are just
into
a
the
fraction
ether.
of a nationwide problem.
fraction.
In Tampa, I'm Carson Chambers.
So what they do is they file it on TurboTax, and when you're done at TurboTax, they give you 3 options.
Yeah.
You want us to direct deposit this into an account, you want us to send you a check, or you want us to send you
we
a
send you a
debit
card.
card.
Send you a card, yeah.
Send me
I
that
know.
debit card, baby. And if you team up like the handicapped man
Mm-hmm.
with a baby's Social Security, guess what you're getting?
Yeah.
Instantly $2,000.
Right, because you get $800 a kid usually.
So that's what they're doing together. And like they said, they're just sitting around in a circle with a laptop, filing. Oh, let me use that Social Security with this Social Security. They'll do it like in January because everybody's gonna wait till fucking April.
That's
to
why I
finish.
found my right away.
You're smart.
Like right away.
Smart.
As soon as I get that thing in the mail, I'm like, boop, boop. I did it on my cell phone this year, which I didn't think was very safe. But again, I'm doing it before anybody else can.
So you don't go to a tax preparer, you just go to TurboTax or
I
whatever?
did it. I used to do it TurboTax on the computer through the program that you put the CD-ROM in the computer. I got my information. I'm just putting all of it in. Boom. After a while, it became like the Adobe products. It stops being a physical thing, and you log into a website basically. So I did like that for a couple of years, and then this year, for the first time, it was an app on the phone. And since I've been doing it for
so many years,
all my information is just there. Which again, I don't know how awesome that is, but it's definitely very convenient. And
is it cheaper than going to an accountant?
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
So of course.
But I don't have, real estate. I don't have. But
Right.
It asks me.
It's 1, 2, 3 for you.
It's easier for me because there's not extra stuff that I really have to make sure I'm getting right. But
Right.
even if I did, it asked me. It asked me about investments. It asked me about real estate. It asked me about. There's a whole bunch of stuff that it runs through.
Yeah.
But sometimes people want that assurance of a tax professional.
Right.
And before TurboTax, I went to Amscot, and I had that person do it. But then I'd be out like $300.
Right.
What's that?
Yeah.
So I got the place, and then nothing else that I do on the side makes so much money.
Right,
that I
everything,
need to,
and you get FICA and all that stuff taken out per check,
Right.
so it's really no major math you have to put. I think those are if it's free, right?
It's fucking free.
But it's the person that waits till April, and these people take those 4 months of advantage, and go in. And $100 million. And there's another story with another guy in Fort Lauderdale that was doing the same thing with his nephews. He had like a little ring, and they would have never got caught unless there was a break-in and somebody broke into that guy's house. So the cops went to go do their regular investigation. When they went in there, they found a whole bunch of these debit cards, and that opened another investigation. So my whole thing is this is so easy for people to get away with. That's why they're doing it. So is it the IRS fault? Like, shouldn't they? Like, so with some of these things, you don't even need an ID.
I mean, TurboTax should definitely be more. I feel like it's okay.
No, but what I'm saying is, shouldn't the IRS go out of their? If this is such an epidemic, did you see all that list of mail? There was thousands of names, and they're saying that that's a fraction of the thing that happens. Shouldn't the IRS take more preventive measures? Because it's your fault. When somebody steals your identity, you got to go stand in line.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to go prove.
I got to go prove.
And you might not even get no money back.
No, because shit's gone, right? Because they already gave it out once. They don't want to like repay. I heard that the IRS still has like tape for records. You know, instead of it being
computerized,
all digital.
Really?
Or some of like the older people's stuff is still like. It hasn't been transferred over. I don't know what any of that means, though. I may be wrong. Should they do more to?
You might be right, though. Maybe they can't keep up.
It's
with
such a big job, and somebody's being born.
300 million people in the United
How many people
States.
get born every day that need a new Social Security number that we got to keep track of? Maybe 1 year we don't pay taxes until, like, you know how they have teacher work holidays. I think we need like some time off, and everybody just catch up. Modernize everything for that year, go without the money, which obviously is never going to happen, and get your shit together. And then, boom, we don't got to go to TurboTax. We'll go to IRS tax.
And somebody's going to spend your check on some rims and gold chain.
Man, and that's even more infuriating because literally $95 million goes up in the air like the weed and the blunt.
They made it rain.
They called it the rain parties.
It was the tsunami.
The rain parties. That's so, it's the worst, man. And this guy's just sitting up there.
You think this is worse than what the insurance companies and these white collar people are doing to us? I left this third because I wanted to build up. Like, what is really worse?
What is worse? Somebody stealing my tax money?
What's affecting society more?
The insurance companies making. You talking about raising premiums?
Just period. We did the food stamp card, which obviously affects that comes out of your tax money. We had the insurance companies raping Medicare for extra. These doctors charging extra shit. And what happens? Right? They charge
Premium
the people.
more,
The premium goes up. And then with the house insurance, these contractors and the attorneys are taking advantage. Guess what? Our premiums are raising higher.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or some poor guy, unfortunately from a fucked up neighborhood. That all his predecessors, and I'm not saying this I'm throwing everybody, but this guy didn't grow, or these people didn't grow up around doctors and lawyers and stuff, arguably, right? They grew up around hustlers and shit, and so it's like, yo, get money however you can, survival of the fittest, you know what I mean?
Which criminal is the worst? I gotta go with the victim. Which victim is hurt the most? And I would say probably this guy, the tax guy.
Huh?
Because if I gotta pay more in premiums, it sucks, and it shouldn't be the case. It's terrible, but that's not like a cushion that I depend on. You know, and necessarily my tax return, because I am in this financial situation that sets me up for the rest of the year, whether it be not able to claim my son or claim my son. That just sort of dictates how much fun really I'm going to be able to have, you know, and I can make that last and maybe invest some of it and use some of it to, you know, use it right, obviously.
It's a dividend. It's like it's an extra dividend that
it makes
we depend on.
I can turn that into a lot of money.
That's why I think the dividend's a good idea.
Yeah,
more money is not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
In our situation.
Some people are going to use it for rims or whatever.
Yeah.
Some people are going to just pay their kids tuition.
I can't stand. I don't even have kids, but every year my homies that get so excited. It's usually younger people that I know. They get so excited about that check and they go out and buy Jordans. I wrote a song about it. It's called Fishbowl. Check it out on YouTube, Fredo Peen's Fishbowl. And the whole first verse is about, I got my income tax check and I didn't have to go rob somebody, but then I'm going to use that money for some Jordans and an Xbox and maybe a couple weeks of groceries. And that's it. And then I'll wait for that next one to come through. Like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah,
that's your kids' money.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah, man. I've seen it 100 times, and I've seen people rationalizing it with, mommy's got to have fun too, or just dumb shit like that. And it's the worst, man.
Some people want more kids because of it.
So that it can deprive them further and get you.
Pop another one now. I got a check for you every year.
You can buy an extra Xbox for the kids' rooms. They could play Xbox in their room, and then you can play Xbox in your room, and then you generally don't have to see each other, which is awesome for some people. But me, I stretch that thing. Whatever I get in, it's usually around February. Whatever I get, I stretch it out as much as I can. I try not. I play a little game with myself. I try not to get under a certain amount of money in my bank account. So that I can take one good trip a year, maybe splurge on something. And it's stuff like, for me, it's like, I'm going to buy some sunglasses. I haven't bought new glasses in 4 years. If I splurge my next year, when I get to claim Kai, I'm buying sunglasses. I'm going to have glasses and sunglasses. That's my splurge. Not Jordans, but because I live in Florida, and every time I go to the beach, I'm like this. And I haven't had them for 4 years. People buy my shirts. I have the same shorts that I bought these from a truck stop. I don't, I spend money like you're supposed to spend money generally. I may take my girlfriend out to vegan restaurants a little much because those are expensive, but I'm definitely making sure the kid's all right, It's like, damn, homie, what about the kid? He's like, I gotta get it how I live. And then, the other way, the rich people are just sort of like dropping in, the fraudster rich people are like dropping in gas. They're gassing up the boat for the weekend with the money that they're stealing from people, which is just as wasteful and just as pointless. I still need that money, But this guy wants to spend $1,000 on a pair of Jordan and a bag of weed and the Xbox. This guy wants to spend $1,000 on the gas for his fucking boat for the weekend.
That's a great segue.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
Great segue to the next story, Thompson. And you just freestyled that. So another epidemic in Broward and Miami is these credit card skimmers. Now, this happens everywhere.
Oh, right, with gas stations?
And it's getting more prevalent. I think there was over something in the millions again. This is all in the millions of credit card skimmers being found in gas stations, especially in South Florida. So just so you guys know, the best way, according to the research I did, is always, if you're going to have to use a credit card machine outside, make sure it's the gas pump that's closer to the tenant. Because usually what they do is they put the skimmers on the farthest outside ones because they're easier to get to.
Or just go inside altogether.
And that's what I was going to say on top of it. Just go inside and use your credit card.
Yeah.
You get a little walk, but you're going to...
You may piss off one or two people, but oh well. They'll be all right. Because I've not always, but I've more than once gotten the whole, like, the look or literally like, hey, buddy, can you move your car? It's like, no, I'm going to pay. You can pay at the pump. I know. I'm going to pay. See you in a couple minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
I never got that before.
Oh, yeah. People,
because the gas station's full or
it's
whatever.
full, and I could pay right there, but I'm going to take the extra probably 2 minutes, and it is holding people up, and I recognize that, but I'd rather not get my identity stolen. And that's you're not going to get your identity stolen. That doesn't happen. Okay, cool, man. It definitely does.
Millions. Little Havana skimmers.
For a suspected scammer after
All this shit is in South Florida.
skimmer was found at a South Florida gas station.
And it comes just hours after a new warning about fraud at the pump. Christian De La Rosa is live in Miami with a discovery tonight. Christian.
Well, this time
What's up,
it was
Ken
this
doll?
Marathon gas station on Calle 8.
It's Cuban Ken.
Cuban Ken.
Number 3 is where authorities found someone was trying to steal your money. Rushing for fingerprints, looking for clues.
Oh yeah, there's not going to be any fingerprints there. It's only a place where people put their hands all over. Yeah, it's only where people put their hands on all the time.
Credit card information.
Which
Yeah,
one is
see if there's any fingerprints right here around the numbers.
On Miami's 8th Street and 12th Avenue.
Yo, hold on a second though. What if you are a criminal or you've done crime before and they catch your fingerprints and they're like, nah, I was just putting gas. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, maybe like some guy, some serial killer that shit hits. That'd be awesome, man.
Or just some like rehabilitated criminal that maybe has a criminal record of fingerprints
Of stealing credit cards.
or just anything, and they just pop
Hey man,
up.
stop breaking the law, asshole.
Police after finding a skimmer in one of their pumps. This man who told me he's the owner of the gas station, ignoring my questions.
Es un gran fraude.
Adrian Mendoza
What?
says he's
Smoke more weed.
stunned. He could have been a victim. He drove here to pump gas moments after police showed up.
Not only are they finding the credit cards and using them here, but then they're
Oh, that's
selling
the fox in the hen house.
Florida Commissioner of Agriculture
That's
and
what they got.
Consumer Services,
That's what they try to
Stevie
tell her.
Freed,
So this is the
in
news
South
story right
Florida
here.
Thursday,
Because she just got
warning
elected.
consumers skimmer fraud is rampant. Sharing tips to avoid it if a gas pump looks unlocked.
That's a dope shirt, by the way.
Shout out to all the women working the crime scene.
Yeah, man. I love that shirt.
Call authorities.
Shirt says crime scene.
paying
I want a
for
shirt that
gas,
says crime scene.
Try using credit over debit. And take note here, South Broward County, that is where state officials tell us is a hotbed for this type of fraudulent
I feel like this guy's
activity
about to
right
bust
now.
into like a
As far
salsa
as
move, right?
Who's behind the skimmer that was found at this Marathon gas station? The investigation is
He's
just
just doing a
getting
little
started.
too much.
But
I feel like
remember, you can get
a little too
paid
extra.
for any
Da-da,
information.
da-da-da.
He's a little too.
305-471-TIPS. We're live in Little Havana. Here in
It's
Miami.
Cuban Kid.
Christian De La Rosa.
He's killing it.
It's
This guy's little taco meat out and shit.
Christian Cuban Kid.
The top button unbuttoned.
So be careful because they out here, especially in South Miami. This happens everywhere, but like,
Nah, yeah, that's I go inside generally, and if I don't, I don't know. I'll look around. That doesn't. What does that mean? But like, if it's like a car, because a lot of times they're nearby. Those people.
yeah, because they got the Bluetooth. or
Yeah, they
whatever.
gotta like they're just like scanning shit. If there's somebody just sort of sitting in their car, I just get a weird vibe, then I go inside. But it does. It's not 100%.
Nah, they do it at ATMs too.
They do it.
I pull on the little thing and make sure it's.
I got mine at a restaurant I was at. I'm pretty sure that's when they stole it, because when this charges started, it was right after I went to this restaurant, and I think somebody was probably sitting at the bar scanning.
Or maybe that's somebody at the restaurant just giving.
Or
numbers
somebody
away.
at the restaurant, which is, it's scary because people have your information right there. You can't do much about it other than try to do the best practices, like like you're saying, be closer to the
Check
the
your-
store,
check your credit card.
check your account. Mine is weird though because I have little $2 and $3 things from different places, and it's hard for me to remember. It's like because they don't. It's not like it says whatever the place is. Sometimes they'll have like a different name, and it's like for $3. And then was I at Port Authority? Blah blah. It's just something like it won't say like 7-Eleven. It does say 7-Eleven, but it won't say like a smaller place.
Right.
It won't just say like, I bet you the Bella's Pizza is probably called something else,
right?
Or has an address
Because
instead
they're
of like
LLC
a name.
or whatever. What I try to do is I definitely don't keep a lot of money in my check card account.
Okay.
Keep it in the savings.
Okay.
And definitely have like a $500 limit on anything. Anything over $500, I need to be notified. Or not even that. Don't even run it. And I'll call the credit card company, say, hey, I'm about to make a purchase for this. You know what I mean? And then, with my credit card, I just try to stay on top of the bill. Ashley's got the greatest thing. Like, all hers comes to the app. I mean, even down to her credit report. If anything pulls on her credit, it goes right to the app. She gets a text message.
Yeah. Bank of America is good about that. Yeah. And then I got the credit app, Credit Karma app.
Yeah.
That I check all the time now.
Check, especially if you got good credit, man. It's just so easy.
Trying to get, me, try and get it.
Yeah.
Got it up there. It's getting up there. I'm almost to 700.
There you go.
We almost there.
There you
Almost
go,
baby.
700 Club.
Almost there, baby. Yeah, then I can start hating black people. Be awesome.
Okay, Thompson.
The 700 Club. That guy, what's his name?
Oh, that's right. That's
the guy who's
right.
about to die soon. He looks like the
That
Crypt
was,
Keeper. The Jesus guy.
Where is this?
Paul.
I wanted to play.
Bob. I don't know.
All right, right here.
I didn't know you could
All
do
right,
that.
so this is going to be the last story
And now
for the
to a CBS
podcast.
4
And the reason I want to play this story is because it's kind of sad ending that I'm not going to say first, but this has dealt with corruption. Again, guess what?
Opelika, South Florida, in the building.
This really like hits me because it really seemed to affect good people.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people that are in office where corruption's not supposed to be. But they really took advantage. And I think going along all these stories, I think it's the culture in Miami. I think there's something in the water. There's something about forever. Like they said at the beginning.
Yeah, I remember.
Kimberly said they used to sell swampland to people. There's just something about South Florida culture that it's like, I need to get one up on you. And if I have power and control, then you need to pay me to be whatever, you know? And because it goes across the board. We're going to see this has to do with the Opelika City Council and how they kind of extorted this guy, you know, and it's super sad.
News exclusive report. In March, federal agents raided the city offices in Opelika, hauling away hundreds of boxes of files. Tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from the man at the center of that wide-ranging FBI investigation. CBS 4's Jim DeFede spoke to the FBI's inside man. Jim?
Frank Zambrana had hoped to achieve
Oh,
his
shit.
vision of
Chicken
American
nugget
dream
ass.
Oh,
by
shit.
repairing and selling farm equipment in Opelika.
Let me tell you something. Chicken nuggets are good for me.
In 2013, he
King
applied
Curtis.
for an occupational license that should have cost him no more than $200.
Stop fat
Instead, as
shaming
you're about
people.
to hear,
No.
it has turned
Shaming?
into one of the largest public
Just
corruption investigations
Funny
in
shit.
South Florida.
He looks like a cute chicken nugget.
So I went to the city hall of Opelika to apply for a license, and this is when everything started for me. All my complications started.
Zambrana, whose story was first reported by the Miami Herald,
I
couldn't
put a crease in my
understand
hat.
why his application kept getting rejected.
Everything that he asked me to fix it, I fixed it. So until one day, I went like, it was my 5th time that I went to Opelika, and I had this gentleman. He told me that he can help me.
Zambrana said the man was Opelika City Commissioner Luis Santiago, and as they walked through City Hall, Santiago pointed to his picture hanging on the wall.
That he said, "Look at me. That's me there. I'm the commissioner from the city of Opelika."
They have him subtitled as FBI confidential informant.
License.
Not
They
very
agreed to meet at
confidential.
Zambrana's business.
He showed up there, and he told me the rules of the game. I had to pay. At the beginning, it was $2,500 only.
$2,500.
$2,500 cash money.
Zambrana said he paid Santiago, but nothing happened. Weeks went by, and suddenly Zambrana had another problem. The head of code enforcement for the city was threatening to fine him because he didn't have a license. Zambrana said he soon heard again from Commissioner Santiago.
He called me and asked me for more money.
Commissioner Santiago called you and said he wanted more money.
Yeah, Commissioner Santiago called me.
Again, he agreed to pay, but there was still no license. Zambrana then said Santiago introduced him to Dante Starks, a former Miami-Dade police sergeant who now works as a lobbyist. He too demanded money. Santiago said his breaking point came when Gregory Days, the code enforcement chief, showed up at his business with the police. He said Days started yelling at him.
"Today you're going to be arrested," he goes to me. "Today is your day." Mr. Day hand the phone to me, say, "Hey, somebody want to speak to you." And it was Danto start calling me. And Danto told me, "Look, you see, we're not playing here. We're not playing here. You have to come out with the rest of the money."
That night, he couldn't sleep. In the morning, he walked into the FBI headquarters in North
Yeah.
Miami and asked to speak to an agent.
They give me a microphone.
A little hidden,
Yeah.
little hidden camera
Yeah.
or microphone?
Microphone and a hidden camera.
That night, he said, Commissioner Santiago picked him up in his city-issued SUV.
There was a gun in the floor on the car in the middle of the console.
Santiago
That commissioner or fucking Joey Lagazzi?
He was checking me.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was scared.
After driving around for a while, Santiago called Dante Starks, whose nickname in Spanish is Pulpo, the octopus.
Then Pulpo show up.
Are these guys like made men or
for
fucking
sure.
commissioners,
It sound like it.
bro?
I gave him the $500. And everything was recorded, everything was in video.
How many different payments do you think you made with the FBI on camera?
With the FBI on camera, I would say 20 payments.
Mr. Santiago, how you been? Haven't seen you in a while. Come on down.
Yes, sir. Let me go down.
Come on down. Yet despite all this material, Santiago remains a city commissioner. We caught up with him at a commission meeting last week. So these allegations...
He's leaning on his ass. Back up,
says
homie.
that You've been shaking him down.
Oh, well, sir, the only thing that I have to say is I'm innocent. That's a false accusation. In any question that you have, you can call my lawyer.
Who's your lawyer?
Thank you. A robbery.
No, this chicken nugget's aggressive.
Yes, I better say,
This
but
is very
I'm
serious. He's claiming that you're shaking him down.
Very well, very well. I'm innocent.
We did call Santiago's attorney, Rod Vereen, who said the
Wide
allegations
shot
against
is just a
Santiago
classic.
are 100% false, and that Zambrana is someone who could not be trusted. Gregory Days, the former code enforcement chief, said he had no comment. Dante Starks also declined to discuss the allegations. Tomorrow night, we'll show you how this corruption probe spread to others at City Hall, including the city manager and a son of the mayor, when we bring you part 2 of the FBI's Inside Man.
So-
Jim, sounds like there's a lot of evidence
So
here.
he
Where is
didn't-
this investigation?
So let me break down the whole story.
Well, what
Yeah.
happened? What happened at the end? Did he get his money? Did he?
They're still fighting.
Oh man.
So this is like a 4-year deep investigation, and it's so sad. This guy owned a company where he just repaired lawn equipment. So you bring your lawnmower, he would fix it up for you, and he started from zero. You know, clearly an immigrant that came here started. Like this is the American story. This guy started. This guy was a worker. And he built from zero, and so he needed an occupational license for his business, or else he would be, you know, out of code, right? So he tries to go get it. He shows them that, you know, he's going in 4 or 5 times. Nobody wants to help him. And it's because they have like a culture of corruption there, because it's not just one commissioner. It's all these people, even though and I'm not going to, because it's like a 20-minute whole thing, but just to break it down, even the guy that turns your water off and on came by and was like, oh, I heard you paid the commissioner this much. How about you give me $50 a month and you can use as much water as you want? And it's so bad that there's a bigger investigation in Opa-locka because the city is going bankrupt. Like there's nobody's paying things, and like I said earlier, I think it's like even at the flea market there was that situation. Opa-locka has a huge reputation for corruption, so I think it's like the culture there. You know what I mean?
The
So
history of Opa-locka is. Huh?
fast forward, he gets the FBI involved. The FBI are not bringing anybody in. You know, they have over 300 hours of video and audio recording from these people taking money. Nobody's been arrested. Okay. And I'm going to show this next story about this thing. One of the other commissioners or the commissioner's assistant actually called up to the Florida state government and said, yo, what's going on here? This was like a good guy, and nobody responded to his situation. You know what I mean? The poor guy that owns a lawnmower company, his son got diagnosed with cancer, and he had no money to help his son out because he was paying all this money to try to get. He had over $15,000 in fines that developed because he couldn't get his occupational license. Wow. And they're going back and forth. You know, oh, well, if you pay me $3,000, I'll wipe off all your fines. Like, there's several people in the commission office that are fucking with him. So his son dies of cancer.
The same dude that we just saw?
The old guy. This the guy from...
Yeah, the guy. The main dude.
This gentleman right here. And what's even crazier is that his other son was best friends with the son that died of cancer, and his other son was so traumatic that he lost his brother that he committed suicide, bro.
Oh shit, he lost both his kids.
He lost both his kids, and he had to close the business down because he didn't have enough money to keep up with all the fines and everything. Nobody's been arrested, Thompson. So the commissioner assistant that I told you that called up about the corruption. This guy,
he died in a fucking crash.
So this is the mysterious shit, right? They're saying that he committed suicide. If he committed suicide because of the corruption, then this is a hell of a good dude that like probably thought he couldn't change anything and he felt guilty, or He was murdered.
Yeah.
So check this out. This is all Opalaka.
Commissioner set to face corruption charges, found dead after he crashed his car into a tree. Terrence Pinder was going to surrender tomorrow on state charges. Instead, his family, friends, and colleagues are grieving and
When
trying
did this
to
happen?
figure out
2016.
if the huge corruption case in the city played any role at all in his death. CBS 4's Natalia Zayas live in Opalaka with more on the investigation. Natalia?
Well, Elliot, the life of this commissioner came to an end right here when police say he drove through this field and crashed his car head first into this tree. You can still see the damage here. He was set to turn himself in tomorrow on state corruption and bribery charges. Former Opalaka City Manager Steve Shiver can't believe City Commissioner Terrence Pinder may have taken his own life by crashing a city SUV head first into this tree at the Opalaka airport.
Within the last several days, I've spoken with him, and I never once got any indication of him wanting to end his life.
Pinder led the charge to hire Shiver last year, saying he wanted to get to the bottom of the city's financial crisis.
Terrence was a friend. Terrence stood up to the others that are there and are corrupt.
Shiver was fired in November after notifying the governor the month before that the city was in financial crisis, nearly out of money. He says the state should have stepped in back then.
A lot of this could have been avoidable, and now you have the blood of what appears to be a good man on your hands.
The process is it goes first to our Inspector General.
Serpent King.
And that's what she's going through a review right now. And then we'll figure out what the next step is.
But Pinder had a world of pressure on his shoulders. He was just a day away from turning himself into the state attorney for bribery and charges connected to a kickback scheme involving an undercover informant who was wearing a wire.
That was the
According
guy.
to the arrest warrant, Pinder was not bringing Shiver in to improve the city's finances, but instead, Opalaka needed a white boy that he could control to be the next city manager, subject to Commissioner Pinder reasoned. Pinder went on to state that they only needed to wait 3 weeks until Shiver was in place, and then they could do whatever when it came to carrying out criminal schemes.
He has always been a stand-up gentleman with me and has always asked me to do the right thing.
Police have not said whether Pinder left a note or if there were any other items in the SUV that might have explained the motive for the crash. His goddaughter, Alexis Minnis, can't believe he would have committed suicide.
I really think somebody tried to kill him and he was on the running from them and ran into a tree. I don't really think that he would kill himself. Why? He didn't have no reason to. I don't think, because he's whatever they try to charge him with, I don't think he would have killed himself for that.
Wow.
And though police have not confirmed the motive for this crash, State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle put out a statement in which she described the charges that Pinder was set to surrender on. Again, that was supposed to happen.
That's eerie. That's really eerie.
Well, here's my question again. Is it the person or the culture? If you are a commissioner, let's say, by all accounts, they say that he's a good guy, but you come into a culture of corruption and everybody else is corrupt, do you just play the game of corruption? Or like, because if if you wave that flag, then you're going to be the scapegoat. Like, you're better than us. You don't want to corrupt like us, and that's the culture here. That's
Is the person or the culture? I think it's the person, right?
I don't know.
I mean,
I have a
isn't
hard
that
time with
isn't that
it.
one and the same though? Kind of.
I mean, if you're a good person and you come into a situation and you're a team player and you see that everybody else is doing it,
I don't agree with. I guess I agree that could be the case, but I don't agree that should be. You could excuse anything or anything
it's
like that.
wrong. That's absolutely wrong. But
Yeah.
it's the same argument with a kid that grows up in the hood
Mhm.
and doesn't have any good role models except for the drug dealers. 9 times out of 10,
Kinda.
he's gonna do
You're in
that.
a position of power. You got to be somewhat smart to be in that situation. So right when you're doing that shit, you're doing is wrong. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily the same thing as growing up in a bad place and having to do what you need to survive. They're not necessarily just surviving.
Right.
They're kind of like taken advantage of and, doing bad shit.
But you come in and you start waving that flag of corruption, then you become a target.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Absolutely. It's not like if you're trying to speak out against police corruption, except you might get a bullet, which is scary. That's why the people that do stand up against that stuff are so amazing. And, they should be, I don't know, protected or something, there should be some sort of safe zone. But
Yeah.
didn't the guy say that he mentioned something about Opa-locka running out of money and Governor Scott fired him?
That's what I'm saying. It's like you try it.
Fuck out of here. Trying to
what
make
does
money,
that-
bitch.
What does that show you? Like, I might as well go back and be corrupt like everybody else. Like you should.
Or you got to get out and get into another game.
Stay out of Opa-locka, people.
Opa-locka.
Stay out of Opa-locka.
Get locka upped. Sorry.
Something's gonna happen to you.
Well, hopefully, what's his name gets his money at some point, or I don't know. He lost 2 sons off of this shit
and a business.
But I'm gonna have to look that up to see kind of how that ended.
It's still in litigation.
Like today?
Yeah.
And it was from 2016?
No, that was 2014 when it happened. He was undercover for like 2 years.
Bruh.
That's why he went on the news.
It's 5 years ago.
He went to the news because
And that's another reason they can continue to do shit like that, because most people don't have the money or time to be going in fucking litigation and courtrooms for 5 years, paying a lawyer for 5 years.
Bro, the guy wore a wire that has over 300 hours of video.
So
and
what's the
audio.
problem?
Corruption.
No, it's corruption and
The FBI ain't doing anything about it.
Well, it's corruption, and it's just the system of, how long it takes to prosecute people and like get people through.
And apparently he doesn't have he's like at his wit ends, because how many times do you see federal informant like you see it on there and the shit is
confidential
not blocked
federal
out? He's
FBI
like,
informant.
I can't be confidential anymore. I want everybody to know about this.
Yeah.
I lost my sons.
Yeah.
Like, it's so sad,
And
bro.
you probably can't even get an apology because
Bro.
it's an admission of guilt. So
And Florida's corrupt. Everybody's doing it, bro.
So you might as well
figure it out.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it.
It sucks, man. It's 2019 and shit's still going down.
Survival of
And
the
what's
fittest.
ironic is a lot of people are getting voted into these positions. So they're tricking people into saying that they're good people.
Bro, Governor Scott left Texas with $1 million fraud, and he became our governor.
Yep. And now he's in the Senate for us. And what's the shit he did with the insurance for the Sunrail or people who build Sunrails? So in 2008, I want to say, or 2009, Obama, like he personally offered him, no, but like Obama was president and the White House offered, or Washington maybe, offered money to Florida to build a speed rail, a Sunrail or something. I think it was from here to Orlando, here to Tampa. Governor Scott said, no, we don't want that money. We're not going to use that money to build shit.
We're going to take money from education.
We're going to cut money to education, but we're not going to do that. Years later, before he got out, him and his wife, I'm foggy on because I haven't read about this in a while, but they opened up like a business that loans money to train builders, or like some shit like that, where we're not going to take the money from Washington. We're gonna finance these things at an interest rate, at a premium.
I'm gonna make that money.
Yeah, I forgot exactly how it went, but there's a whole bunch of those little things dealings with.
He just looks like the Darth Lord Sith.
And he keeps getting voted, man. It keeps working. If he ever gets wind of me talking, maybe I'm gonna be, because he's kind of petty too. Remember the lady who like I said, we can do a whole one on Rick Scott, a whole one of these conversations on Rick Scott. But he was like in a Starbucks or something, and this woman called him out. You remember that? He was like I think it was a Starbucks or
what happened?
He created an advertising campaign against this everyday. I can't say campaign. There's one literal like commercial.
Threw money at the
commercial to talk about this random fucking lady from Starbucks who she was just talking against the kind of the same shit I'm saying.
Right.
She was like naming instances how he's a piece of trash and he's a criminal. And he went out and made like it was like if she was running for a governor, he ran like a smear campaign sort of like ad. An attack ad. That's what it's. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for against this woman. Private citizen.
I remember when he ran for that last, not the one he just lost, but the last one that he won, and it just felt like the empire had taken over Florida. I'm like, yo, this is our governor. And right when I'm in office, I'm slashing the education budget.
Yep. And then the last year before he went to the Senate or whatever, he brought it up by $1 million. Like he did something, but he cut it by 3.
Yeah.
Cut it by 3, and then
Raises them.
several years later raise it by $1 million or something.
Just so you can look good.
Just so you can look good.
That's what I'm saying. Florida just breeds
It's
the
another
corruption.
scam. Just another scam.
Why not have a scammer governor
Yeah.
when the whole state is a
It's
scam?
all scamming.
I really read that Florida is like the number 3 or number 4 industry that we have fraud. Fraud is the number 3 or number 4 industry. It's like tourism, agriculture, fraud.
We also had other elected officials like I forgot her name, but I remember when she got arrested for taking donations and spending them, and like $500 here, $1,200 there. And when she was getting walked out, it was fucking gangster as shit. They asked her to, like, what were you doing with the money? She said, "It's politics." Like she had this accent. Forgot her name too, but her and then the lady who had this crazy district, the woman with the Brown, maybe I think her last name is Brown. She has the big wigs. State of Florida, and she had that district going down the center of Florida. You know what I'm talking about? Her ass went to jail too, stealing money. Patty Sheen? No, that's not her name. But same thing, like $500 here, $300 there, donations, or just misusing the funds.
Yeah.
And not like $30,000 or something.
It's millions, yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. It was the opposite. Like it wasn't a lot of money, but it wasn't like a lot of money at a time.
Right.
It was almost like she was committing fraud for rent money and shit.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like to pay, because you look at the numbers and the payments, they're like $1,500.
That's probably why she
$600.
thought she could get away with it.
Probably, yeah. But we got them. They're elected officials. And she got elected and reelected and all of that stuff. I just don't understand how people. I do understand. They keep thinking they can get away with it because they keep getting away with it,
right?
Until they don't. It's so shitty though, man. It just sucks that ideally, our officials should be above that, right? That's what they run on, honesty and.
But not if that's what I'm saying.
Hardworking.
Do we blame the culture?
It's hard to say that that's the culture. If
Well,
that was the culture
in Florida, because everybody's doing it.
I'm saying it would be hard to say that it is, because if that was the culture per se, like literally what we're outright saying we do, then it would be in like as part of the campaign commercials or part of their when you see them and you
this
talk to them.
candidate's only committed fraud
4 times, blah, blah, right? Just so you know, this is where their money's coming from. This is how they got their money. Like if every negative ad was their positive ad or whatever was their ad, then it'd be like the culture. But what it is just behind. It's right underneath what they're saying it is. It really is the culture.
I mean, but do you think that people get into politics with good intentions and then this happens, bad things happen, or you think people are just not getting into politics so they know they can rip people off and get away with it?
I think some people get into politics because they know they can rip people off. Some people get into politics because they know they can be in a position to do some good. And then most people get into politics because their daddy was in it, because their granddaddy was in it, because it's a family thing. It's just something that they just always want to keep it in the family. Like monarchs and kings and queens or something like that, but without actually being kings and queens.
This is the way it is, son.
And usually they're up to some nefarious shit.
Yeah.
And that's, at least it's what it seems like. I may be totally wrong, but I don't think I am. Evidence suggests I'm not.
So we need a football team called the Fraudsters.
We need
a Florida Fraudsters.
We need an individual that is corruptible and just for the good of everybody else and bulletproof.
Yeah.
Got to make them bulletproof.
I think at least when it comes down to public office, we got to figure, we talked about this in other episodes, we got to figure out a way to get money out of politics and office.
Incentivize being awesome and not make the motivation money.
And like I said before, if you work for the government, you should just be, you should live.
Provide you what you need, sort of like the food.
I don't agree too much in socialism. I believe that capitalism should exist, But in areas like government, it should be a social thing. Like, you get a house, you get a car every 4 years, you get a card for food, but you ain't got to worry about money. You want to go on a vacation, you ask, and it gets taken care of for you. So you don't have to worry about money. We need you to worry about making the country a better place for its citizens.
Yeah.
Don't worry about money. We got you. You're not going to live poor. You're going to live healthy, comfortable. Everything will get taken care of for you. But don't worry about money.
Sacrifice you make, you won't be
well,
rich man.
I think
at least while you're in office.
I think period. Like, if you want to grow up and be president or a congressman or anything of this, and that's going to be your lifelong work, and this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life, then you shouldn't worry about money. You should get taken care of by the government.
Well,
so there's no incentive but taking care of the government.
Just because it's hard to point out what you're going to do. Whatever.
Yeah,
I think
mean,
once
if you leave government and go into banking, then you get a lot, but you're no longer
Right.
going to get that supplemental income.
Can't be eligible for presidency anymore.
Yeah, because
maybe
you got control of everybody's shit.
That might be a good idea.
Got to get rid of. I mean, and it's not too much to ask. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that. You can be a banker.
Yeah, nobody's making
or
you be
a cop,
president.
But if you want to
or
do
governor,
if you want to be a governor, commissioner, anything, you should. I think even cops. You should just get, so there's no
to be on the take.
There's no point of corruption because
yeah, I mean, again, like the other incentive we were talking about earlier. How much does it help? Is it going to stop people from taking bribes? Probably not completely, but
if you can't use money for anything, how can you take a bribe?
What do you mean can't use money?
Because if you're a congressman and we changed the rules completely, so the whole ethos,
so they can't even
culture,
they're not even allowed to use cash.
You don't need money because
know
you
what
have
you're
a
saying.
card
Right.
that says you're a congressman, and everybody knows you're a congressman. There's a way of back checking who you are.
Right.
So you walk into a restaurant, you ask for a meal, you show the card, you just get taken care of.
Right.
The companies would get incentivized.
How do you
in other
buy
ways.
weed?
You shouldn't be smoking weed unless it's legal. If you can't go to a dispensary and purchase it, you signed up to be a government official. So these are the rules you gotta abide by.
How do you buy alcohol?
Let's say you go into a bar and you show your card, you get.
Do we limit the amount of alcohol that a governor can drink in a given day?
I think so. Maybe. I mean, you can't be.
Give me 5/5 of vodka.
You can't be drunk, but if you show up and party, you get taken care of. You show up to a hotel, you need a room.
Held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
And you don't need money for anything.
Because ideally, that's what you're.
What do you need money for? If everything is taken care of.
That was my argument earlier with
Yeah.
the food stamps and not giving them a little card to give them the opportunity to steal.
And those people didn't ask to be poor.
Nope.
But you asked to be a governor.
governor.
You signed up for this shit.
Yeah, maybe. Possibly. There's got to be something in there, though, that people are going to end up stealing anyway. But I don't know. Because it's money.
Yeah.
At least at the beginning. But that'd be kind of sweet, too. To kind of just have a black card of sorts. Where
Right.
you're just...
You can't be buying all crazy shit. You want a boat, you get one boat.
Mhm.
You want whatever, you get one. You don't need 30 boats. You don't need a yacht.
So what if I have 3 kids and they all go to college?
They get taken care of. College is free.
What about their cars?
I think it's just like a healthy kind of thing. Like if it's a family of if somebody turns 18 and they need a car, then yeah, you get a car. You know what I mean? Like
What if
anything-
my 33-year-old son is having
No,
money troubles?
Because at 18, your 33-year-old son had to choose what he wants to get into, and if he's still not successful in whatever field, that's not your fault. That's his fault.
But me as a parent, I
You
would want to help
know,
them.
But you would know because you chose this life. You know that is the circumstances that's going to happen. Like,
Yeah, see, like right there, I'd have a problem with that, right? Because that's still my son or my daughter, and I'd want to help them if they were financially.
Well, yeah, but when you're in the
unstable.
military and your dad's got to go off to war, you necessarily don't want him to go off to war. He signed up for it, though, or she signed up for it. So you would know that, hey, this is part of what I signed up for. You can come live in my house until you get on your feet, but I don't got no money to give you. So you can either be a politician like me or go get a real job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's about corruption. Fuck your son. It's about corruption at the end of the day. We're trying to make this country better. And I think it's going to should instill something in your family to be like, wow, like my dad gave up everything. He could have been rich or whatever, but he wanted to be a civil servant. You know what I mean? A social worker.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, since this is hypothetical, there's some details we worked out, but maybe that might be something that's
I'm coming up with this to eliminate corruption. Yeah, exactly.
For sure. It's not about it. It's not like about anything other than trying to figure out how to stop the people in charge from fucking over the people that aren't in charge.
Not just that, you're going to get rid of that mentality of the person that wants to get into politics
for the money's sake,
right?
Yeah, because there's no money.
There's no money in here, bro. Go play your game somewhere else. In this part that controls, that affects every other person, you are not allowed to be corrupt, bro. You want to go down to fucking Wall Street and close businesses and whatever corporate takeovers. Do that over there, bro. That's the playing field over there. Don't bring that shit to Washington. You know, I don't want to hear your lobbyists.
Right.
All the money. No lobbyists. If you have a voice, you sign up all these people. You show up at the Capitol building, and that's how we're gonna push laws. We're not gonna pay this guy to go play golf with this guy.
Oh, it's so scammy, so scummy, man. It's the worst way to It's not on it doesn't have anything to do with right and wrong necessarily. It just has to do with getting people ahead.
And people can.
Yeah.
They can. They see someone else do it. Oh, he did it. I can do it. I'm going to be smarter than him.
Yeah, man. Terrible.
Yeah.
But let's not have it anymore. Let's figure out how to stop it.
Let's try. Hopefully, y'all's sperm will grow up and not be corrupt. Don't corrupt your sperm, people. That's all it is. This whole problem is because of corrupt sperm.
It's environments. It's about environments,
that
right?
Corrupts the sperm. You're born as a little spermling, bro. You come to this world as a spermling, and you grow up to take people's money and fucking and financially fuck them over. You started out as a nut, bro. What are you doing?
Now you're trying to get a nut. Too much. Nah, man. Fuck that.
Well, that was a nice little 2-hour session.
A lot of scammers.
If you listen to all this, we appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Fredo Peens. I think his name is Thompson.
Still Thompson.
Damn it, it's still Thompson.
Haven't
It's not
changed
gonna
it
change yet. It's Fresh Produce Florida Media at Gmail. Contact us. Let us know what we're doing, right or wrong.
Especially the wrong. I appreciate those.
We appreciate the hate. That's why are we like that as a society?
Sadomasochists.
You can go through all the comments of positivity, like, oh, thank you, you're great, blah, blah, blah. You're a fuckboy. Oh, really?
Really?
But you just read like 30 comments of positivity, but that's the one that stuck out.
Because I got time today. Motherfucker.
Peace and love and universal heart, which is my gang sign.
Oh, my God.